Last season, the controversy surrounded itself with Annex and Sauerfan. Lots of controversy there in qualifying and the race. But this season, our headlines and attention comes to Cookie's possibility of clinching his first RPL title today. Welcome along, folks. I am your commentator, Ryan Searles, here for tonight's event here in F1 Japan, round 19 of season 10. And it's also race 197 of all time, just a few races shy of 200. J&T Gaming is alongside me tonight. He is in place of Titan Ironwolf, who has backed out last moment. So, J&T, good to have you here. You raced here recently in Japan, I believe, last season in Tier 2. What are the drivers going to be expecting besides keeping it on the track? Welcome along.
Well, honestly, stay in DRS. Pretty much the most important thing here for the main straight. It's really hard to get back in DRS once you get out of it because there's only one DRS zone. And once you get out of that train, it's hard to get back in it. It's kind of like Monza, but without all the straights, in a way. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's that and keeping it on the track.
I mean, there's a lot that can happen at Japan here tonight. We saw a VSC caused in last season's event of this race. Drivers were running out of fuel at this circuit last season because there was no safety car. So you really have to plan ahead. There was a sprint in this event in season 8, and because of the wackiness in the sprint, there was a safety car in the end, and you had an Alpine up there. And that Alpine of Korsman, who we know well now, stayed out and won Alpine's second ever race in a late safety car restart. Skither ended up finishing on the podium. He's won here before. Cryptic won on track here before, and it was Skither who finished third, ended up winning the race because of either post-race penalties, appeals, whatever it may be. We also had as well in the season 1 event of this race, a Ferrari take 1-2. They took pole, they took the win, and that was the 1-2. But there was a crash in the final lap out of turn 2 with Portley Boo and Owen. So this circuit, J&T, it seems to cause a lot of fun action and racing that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat for tonight's event.
I agree with you. These races in Japan, the consensus I've gotten, they're always pretty chaotic. At least just maybe safety car 2, VSCs. Pretty incident heavy, I'd say, this track. Almost like Canada, but not as bad.
Yeah, it's definitely tight like yesterday's Tier 2 race was. And speaking of yesterday's Tier 2 race, I'm going to go over that quickly. JNT, you might want to mute me for 30 seconds while I go over it. But it was you taking pole, JNT, but it was the two McLarens who controlled the field after the virtual safety car restart. It was Tadpole who ended up taking the victory. Hunted took it on track, but he ended up getting a podium after the penalties were applied. So we're going here in Japan with the drivers in their cars now. Look, we're going to go over our headlines before we get to qualifying. We'll mention a few more things about Tier 2 in a couple of moments' time, but our headlines include the following. So Josh will be full-time at Mercedes instead of Williams for next season. This is because TB has resolved his Merc contract for next season and gone to VCarb full-time. Alongside him will be Cryptic. We have Cryptic, who was on pole in this race last season. He backed out last moment. He was supposed to be on loan. Skither, Season 11 Ferrari seat. That's your academy, JNT. We'll get to that later. The Chiller, Season 11 Sauber. Zakaria, Season 11 Alpine. And Alpine is a really interesting fit for Zakaria because he was supposed to be the co-TP for next season at Red Bull, but he ended up resolving that contract and then going back to it with the co-TP spot. And interestingly enough, because there was no specification listed for Zakaria, it was assumed to be the end of Season 10, so Alpine were able to nab him. Very smart from Alpine to do that, but Red Bull also won out very big earlier in the week by signing multiple reserves, some of them in this event for tonight. We'll go over that later. Carlson, one of the drivers joining us in RPL. Red Bull originally signed them in their academy as a reserve, but ended up giving them to Alpine full-time for the rest of the season. Alpine needed a driver. They have Carlson for them. A few other things that we're going to mention. Some drivers missing tonight or some loans before we get back to you, J&T. We have Nick Bonventre. I've raced with him a while now. formerly known as Axe F1, in the Xbox Challenger Series, along with Skither. He is on loan to Alpine tonight. Very good to see him here. We've also got as well other drivers in this event that are getting moved up to certain spots or on loan. We have Wavy Knife, Tier 2 driver, full-time there, racing Williams tonight. Alongside him on loan is Blonde. We also have Egg going from Williams to Aston for tonight. And Redfire Tiger, who raced yesterday in Tier 2, had some really good pace, but has some controller issues. He is in Alfa Romeo tonight, reserving for you guys, JNT. And the only other big thing that I see in this event is RSF1 Invade, full-time Tier 2 driver, getting the call up to race Tier 1 for the first time in about 4 seasons. JNT, before we get to qualifying laps, you have quite the interesting lineup here at Ferrari Academy for tonight. And also, we have lots to talk about. De Chiller getting the Sauber, Skither getting the Ferrari, so De Chiller won't return to Ferrari next season and be alongside Skither. Talk me through that decision, if you don't mind.
Well, midway through Tier 1 Season 10, this is Season 10, right? Yeah, Season 10.
Yep.
After the Tier 2 season, last Tier 2 season, I signed Gek with a Ferrari, and at the time it was a bit of, I don't know, a bit of a risk maybe. He did help me a lot through starting as a team principal, but after seeing what he's done in the Red Bull, being outshining pretty much everyone else except Cookie, I'm pretty confident in that decision to put him in that car. I think he's going to do great. And Skizzer, I wasn't 100% confident because I didn't know if he was going to buy the game or not, actually, until he said he would.
Yeah.
But then after he said he would, we got that contract done. Solidly second fastest car. It fit his needs for what he wanted. So I signed him. And then Chiller, there's just not 3 seats. I wish there was 3 seats, but there's not. So, yeah.
Yeah, because he really seems to be finding his strides a lot more on PC with his pace in a top car. He's not executing the results as well as he definitely did in seasons prior, but he's definitely finding his pace. We're going to watch some hot laps here. You spoke about Gecko. He was in this race in Tier 2 in an Alfa Romeo and took podium here on pace. So we'll find out what he can do this time in AlphaTauri. Turn 80 is coming through now and going through Degna 1 and Degna 2. Lots of controversy in this section last season where Sauberfen, a Ferrari Academy driver, was able to take Degna 1 flat. Lots of drivers suspecting that he was cheating maybe, but no suspicions from tonight so far or anybody in the lobby. Lots of drivers with very qualified positions. We had Carlson, who's going to join us. He's not in the lobby currently, but we have Nick Bonventre, who's an Xbox Challengers driver from before, now on PC. And as Gecko's taking this area, about to get to 130R, I just learned as well, JNT, prior to where Gecko was coming through, which is Spoon Curve right there. That right-hander, that's called 200R before we get to 130R. I never knew that.
I mean, I guess it's a 200-degree right-hander. I guess that kind of makes sense.
It does. Here we go.
I never knew that,
Gecko,
though.
first one across the line. Let's find out what he does in that AlphaTauri. A podium here for Alfa Romeo helped him a lot in this race last season. You were last season in Tier 2, excuse me. You were teammates with him, JNT. What was he cooking in Alfa Romeo?
I don't know, but I wanted it. And I almost had it. But not really. I don't know what he was on that day. He was absolutely flying more than I could ever imagine to do in an Alfa Romeo. Even on good pace, even now, I don't think I could do that. That was crazy. I thought I was doing well. Sitting like 7th, he was up there in 3rd. It was freaking insane.
Okay, so since Hunted was late to the lobby, or with lineups, and Invade was as well, they have to serve qualifying bans. That's why you saw Hunted crash out. Carlson is finally here. He was late to the lobby. He'll be the 20th runner getting us a full grid. Minico did really well here in Formula Endurance not too long ago. That was their finale for Season 1. That won McLaren the Constructors' Championship. He's now at McLaren, and that was when his first podium was in Japan in a mixed conditions race. Take us through this lap, JNT, with Minico as he heads toward Turn 1 now.
Is the man who started the Mercedes downfall, comes through Turn 1, takes it a little bit cautiously, but he gets it done now through the S's. You just have to hit the curves and as much commitment as you can. If you drop anything here, you'll lose a significant amount of lap time. Maybe a bit heavy on the brakes through the end of the S's there, but I'd say pretty clean coming through the first sector. It is a 31.4, not purple, probably a bit slower than Gecko, I'd guess. Through, well, they're the Degners, right? Whatever the hell that is. Through those two, pretty good. Sorry, I'm like having a stroke. Through the hairpin,
It's okay.
third gear, pretty good on traction there. Better than I'd probably expect from McLaren, to be honest. That's a lot more than I've been getting. Now, flat out here,
Fair.
going through 200 Rs, we've now learned commitment right there all the way on, trying to make up. Can now you take it? I can't.
It's okay. We got 130R approaching now for Miniko. That's okay if you have to switch it over to me midway through a lap, but he's going purple. We'll find out if that's accurate or not as he goes through 130R. Lots of overtakes we saw either entering or exiting 130R in this race last season. Now the Casio triangle where you have to nail in that chicane. Now, here comes Miniko darting to the right and trying to push to the line. He'll go fastest with a 27.4, and we'll find out come the end of Q1, will that be beaten? Further on in the background, we've got Cookie on a lap, and like I mentioned prior, although he's on mediums, he can win the championship for today later on in the race. All he has to do is not have Skither outscore him by quite the decent margin. I'll send some championship scenarios in a little bit, but let's watch how he takes the S section now. Cookie using tons of curb. You saw that slide from the rear. How will that affect him in his lap? Usually any sort of small mistake Cookie's had this season, it's not really affected him besides races like Singapore and Imola and Baku. Now, we got the Degnas now. Degna 1 was decent. Degna 2 almost looked like a lockup, but it wasn't. It was very close to one. It's very easy to lock up in this section, and as you saw in the race highlights, maybe last season in this race, Kipu went off of that hairpin battling side by side. It can be very easy to get the rears all hit down right there the way you may have wanted it to, and through 200R and now into Spoon Curve right here, he's just right on the limit, JNT, and he's just trying to find every bit he can to maximize his speed for what he lost earlier in Sector 1 and those S's with that slide.
Coming through, I don't. Who are we on with?
30R, that is.
I've been getting stuff to like prepare and like not make sure what I just did happens
You're good,
again.
don't worry.
Give me a minute.
You're good. I have the track map up, that's probably why. As
Yeah,
for Cookie,
now I have
we
it up.
mentioned the mistake, only 4th.
I'm happy this
Oh.
is happening now.
Skither, 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. He was either in the way of the Williams or the Red Bull there. He has been penalized by the game and will be starting much, much lower. That is crucial for him.
That is actually pretty crucial here, honestly.
Especially around here. I know the pole sitter's not won the last few Japan races the last few seasons, but the fact is, it's come from starting in those top 6 spots. His teammate DeChiller will go on board with now as he's exiting turn 8 right here on the left side. You got to put it toward those curbs, but you can't dip a wheel in the grass, or you could end up like Logan Sargent did earlier this season. Now DeChiller coming through Degna 1, just absolutely full sending in there, and now turn 10 for him as well. He's approaching, and here we go toward the hairpin now, where we saw lots of moves in the Tier 2 race here, and some in the Tier 1 race here just last season in both those races. Now through 200R, you want to dart all the way to the right and find as much speed as possible, but as for the Tiller here, he should be setting himself up toward the top 8, right where Skither, Gecko, KVS, and Egg all are. Remember, it's only Q1, so you're not going to be pushing 100% to the limit. You got to find all the time you can here to at least make sure you're into Q2 and Q3 with the more competitive grid. But now, the Chiller, 10-7 for him as he exits 130R now.
The Chiller, I'd say he hit those final couple corners pretty well, coming down to the line, tight line. 27.3, very solid lap Q1.
We've got Reese Dainty we're on board with now, and he had some interesting things happen here in Japan in recent seasons. We talk about Season 9, where he ended up having quite the race. He did not finish well on track and was looking at falling back all the way to 7th, and he ended up actually getting a podium when things all cycled out. Cryptic running out of fuel, Reese passing Annex at the end. Reese also getting um, either Jack Miles or Lewis Piper due to the track limit penalties that were in play that day. And Jack Miles ended up getting a post race penalty after that got Reese to P2 that day. Season 8 in the sprint, he was disqualified for not going on the start. And then on the original start, after the sprint, he got a drive-through. And he was recovering, and then Cryptic spun him. But now, he won't have to worry about anybody, thus far in Q1, putting himself on the top of the table. Nick
Yeah,
Bonventre, how about
three
him?
tenths.
We'll go on board with him. I'll give you a chance to cover this. Yeah, 3/10 is quite a big gap, actually, here.
Are we going on board with
Especially last season's quality. Nick Bonventre, the Alpine driver,
Nick
making his debut.
Bonventre, also known as Axe F1, going down into the hairpin. I haven't seen the first part of the lap, but I know right now that that was an incredible hairpin. Amazing on the traction. Gonna try and keep a tight, nice line through here on the run up to Spoon Curve and 200R. 200R, got to run basically all the way out on the curve, which he does not do. And he gets a little too confident on the traction, maybe still getting used to
Oof,
the Alpine. That was a very subpar Spoon Curve there from Axe. I'm going to call him Axe. As now we go
that's fine.
down through 130R, flat through here and coming into, I think it's called the casino section, these final few corners. You gotta take as much curb on entry and exit as you can. Tight line, tight run down the line. That's a
Turn.
27.6. With that mistake, that's an incredible lap from him.
He's got his full-time teammate, Carlson, alongside him, part of ATX, and we'll watch him now. Chat, give us your predictions. Ooh, Carlson went a little too deep and dipped the wheel into the gravel. That's gonna have him back out of this lap, it looks like, unless he wants to at least get a lap on the board. That's the only way he'll continue this lap, at least get a lap on the board, because right now, Wavy and Barney are the two out on pace. We'll be having 3 out on pace once Carlson completes his lap. Barney in the chat talking about being stuck in cockpit cam, and Invade is not prepared. So those are some things he's noting. Obviously, Invade coming in with a qualifying ban due to being on the short list. But yeah, Carlson's actually continuing this lap, JNT. I'm very surprised about that he's actually continuing this, even with his mistake that he had prior. And with that being said, that he is continuing this lap, I mean, we're probably going to see him and Nick Bonventre pull off what Tyler Freeman was able to pull off in Monza and have great pace and beyond for a podium in a car that really shouldn't be anywhere near the podium, but two drivers who are really pushing that thing.
It's gonna be a fun race with those two. Such great pace in the midfield cars. We're gonna see some shocking results. That's my guess. Shocking, pretty incredible results from them. With the mistake on the lap, 28.6, 14 is gonna need to go out again.
So Skither not too happy about the grid penalty. He's wanting a restart at the end of qualifying, but the problem is we've not restarted for other people having grid penalties before. Look at Singapore. It was Blonde and Minako who had grid penalties, and there was no restart for it. So we'll have to find out if Skither at least does send in anything to at least show that the grid penalty was, in fact, BS like he claims it was, but it won't be a restart. That's the fact of it. Cam last week had an abysmal race. No points for Mercedes, J&T, for the first time in 2 full seasons. You want to know what team has had points in 2 full seasons if they just come out of this race alive? Red Bull. Mercedes ended their point streak last week with TB being out of the points and also Cam. They collided in lap 1. Cookie goes second, now on board with Cam, who's looking to have a better one this week for sure.
Reading the rule that TB just put in chat.
Yeah, that is a fair point, that TB actually went to the rulebook and grabbed that to make a point to Skither that, hey, we're not going to get a restart here anytime soon at all. Not even for you, not even for me if it happens. Because Skither is admin. Not going to make a difference.
According to the rules, no restart. 5th-place grid
Correct.
penalty will stand for the Ferrari driver.
Unfortunate. Very unlucky for Skither, though.
It's gonna be a
But,
bit of a, sorry.
good. You're good, good.
Gonna
That
be
was
a
my
bit
question.
of a journey for him through this race to try and claw his way back up to where he should be, I think.
Yeah, it really will. We have Cam completing a lap, and to correct you, J&T, earlier on, no sweat about it. It's Casio Triangle, the final chicane area there. Here comes Cam across the line, fourth fastest, so this is really good for him to be right there with Cookie and a Chiller, all behind Reese. How about we go on board with TTM Barney, who's looking to get himself out of the elimination zone. He's in that drop zone with Redfire Tiger and Wavy, who I feel, in comparison to the grid we have tonight, you'd expect him to be there with Barney in that bottom area. And now Cam has gotten in the way, and he's blocked him, and they've crashed! Big time! Barney!
I've
Cam,
seen that one.
both grid penalties.
That was shocking. That was absolutely shocking. Cam just sitting in the middle of the racing line. I mean, I know you don't want to go onto the grass to let someone by, but he's on the lap. You're in the middle of the S's. You got to get out of the way.
Well, we were talking about grid penalties, JNT. There's 2 more.
Can't believe that. That was actually incredible.
I'll tell you right now, it's very rare for these Tier 1 drivers to have a lots of qualifying incidents, but right there was a repeat, basically, of France, if you remember that, between the 2 McLaren teammates, Korsman and Andrea. That was a repeat of that, where Cam was just right in the way. Wavy's up by 2/10, and I'll tell you right now, in terms of recent seasons here, whether it be Tier 2 or Tier 1, this circuit's actually been very kind to Wavy. A return to the points here, I believe, in Tier 2 from the thick of things. Even having the incident with Gagi in Tier 2 last season here. And also prior to that, not a halfway bad race in Season 8 and Season 7 up until the DNF. But Wavy right now needs more than just those 2/10s, JNT. He has to find time here at 130R and Sector 2 as a whole in order to beat Red Fire and then propel his way past Clarkson.
He's doing just... Sorry, I thought you were done talking. He's 2.7 tenths up. Now, that would put him P16, but that would not be enough to get him in the Q2. Let's see. He does take a lot of curb, but I don't know if he had enough minimum speed to get the lap time out of it, and he goes P16. Wavy will not make it out of qualifying.
Now Redfire Tiger is on a lap, so Redfire Tiger can make the difference a 10th down. Realistically, seeing Barney crash, seeing Wavy in the bottom 3 on pace, Carlson really doesn't need to push this a whole lot, but you have other drivers as well, by the way, either improving or now retiring. Vapor.js will improve. Redfire Tiger, 17th right now, and only 2,000ths up on the time. Had lots of pace yesterday in Tier 2, and in fact, this race last season looked to be a halfway decent one here. Come the race, not qualifying, and come qualifying, he actually has got himself out of the bottom 5 and found
crash.
Oh, that's not good. He's going to be out in his first weekend of RPL. That is really, really big for him. Skither went 5th fastest, checker flag waving, and he's retired on track, being the last one to go. So he might actually get away with retiring on track, considering the checker flag already waved for those guys around him, and Wavy was further in front. But Carlson out of qualifying, I think that's the biggest shocker, because he had lots of pace, and even with those mistakes that he made, it's really cost him because he invalidated. Redfire Tiger through. I'm surprised.
Good on Redfire to get through. I mean, I know he beat Wavy and Carlson, and got 2 people having to retire because of lineups, but still good for him to get through, to be honest.
Absolutely. Redfire Tiger, 1.3 to the leader. It was last season here in Japan that he wasn't a McLaren, and I believe his teammate, I don't remember if it was Korsman who was his teammate for this race. I think it was someone else. All I remember with this race with his teammate is that I think they were both out. No, Lewis Piper was his teammate. Lewis Piper was out in Q2 with him, but Lewis Piper outperformed him in the race. And see, this is the interesting thing with Redfire Tiger now that he's through. He's through on pace barely with KVS, obviously 3/10, the gap between them. But in qualifying here, he was able to be out in Q2 and then propel him up in the race, having more race pace. But with this Alfa Romeo having a lot more qualifying pace than race pace, I wonder if he can replicate what he did last season or not. But that will probably come now at the start of Q2, which he's made, luckily. This is pretty good for him. So here's your top 5, interestingly enough. Reese and Cookie 1-2, but on 2 different tires. the Chiller, third for Ferrari in Q1. Cam and Skither rounding out that top 5, but critically, they both have grip penalties. So we'll put our eyes on that in Q3 if they get there. In the meantime, here's who's in the drop zone and eliminated. Carlson for Alpine on debut. Wavy Knife for Williams. TTM Barney and RSF1 Invade, both Haas drivers, and Hunted, who is a last-minute resort here for McLaren, having to serve the qualifying ban. He's out as well. Q2 is coming to us now.
No real standouts in Q1, I'd say. Good lap from Blonde and the Williams to be the best of the rest. But other than that, no real surprises here as of yet.
Well, I think this is where it might come because you have both AlphaTauris making it through. Vapor.js, a really good performance as well there. He's had a struggling first few weeks in terms of results. He's had pace, as we've seen, but the results have not been there. Gecko as well, at one of his better tracks, I would say, considering the Tier 2 podium. And both Alfa Romeos in, so if one of those guys can knock out anyone above them, that will be the surprise and where it comes from. So, like I said, last season in this race, in qualifying, lots of controversy in terms of Sauberfan with Degna 1, Degna 2. Annex was up there as well on the timing charts for Aston Martin. There was lots of controversy surrounding him because he was eventually banned for cheating. But those guys were the ones who were the big shockers of the session and keeping it close because without those guys up there in Q3, JNT, we would have not had the top 7 within 3/10. And I think through this session, this is where things close up from that 1.2 gap we saw with Redfire Tiger.
Absolutely. I think everyone's going to be a little more on it. He got more track time. I saw Cookie did 4 laps on the mediums. He's probably practicing for the race. So everyone's going to have a little more track time. Knows how the grip of the track's going to be like. So they can send it a bit more. It might be a whole lot closer here. See how it's going to play out. His Cam's on the mediums again. That's interesting.
So I guess with Carlson, they're talking about that he was supposed to serve a qualifying ban during Q1 and maybe didn't. That is probably what the case is because Hunted had to change car last minute, and that's why he's got a qualifying ban, Hunted does. Yet Carlson was full-time in the Alpine, but Hunted was in there prior to this lobby being opened, I guess. So that's what the drivers and admins of some sort like Jack and others seem to be talking about currently.
A lot of controversy in chat for like the first half hour of this. I gotta say,
Penalties,
a lot of stuff's been happening.
This one, it's all over. Even the Sauberfan stuff last season, you know, that was stuff that stuck with us. We just have more stuff that's gonna be right with us tonight, I guess. And one of those is gonna be one of the guys with a grip penalty and one of the guys facing a severe penalty after this race. Cam, out on track right now. JNT, he leads the penalty standings this season, and he's got 16 penalty points. He can't afford much more, so hopefully he can keep himself out of trouble here in Q2. Take it away with this lap.
With Cam, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Cam, through turn 1, I saw that from broadcast view. That's how egregious that exit was. Gonna try and keep it clean on the mediums through the S section. I'm gonna go on board with him. I think he's just trying to keep it clean and in track limits, but the mediums are just not providing him the grip he needs on this lap. As you can tell, 32.2 in the first sector, which is absolutely down by miles on what everyone else is doing in Q1. Through the hairpin now. Can he keep... Actually has a decent exit out of it. I thought it'd be a bit worse on these mediums, but he kept it pretty okay through there. Running a bit on the grass, trying to keep it as tight as he can up through the run to spoon curve. And he does that pretty well. I guess his mediums maybe weren't 100% up to temperature, but now it looks like they give him the grip he needs to do for the second half of the lap. 12.5 through the second sector, so yeah, this is not really a representative lap from Cam. But it's interesting to see him try and push the mediums and them not really cooperating with them.
Cross the line. Here we go. First lap. This is the benchmark, 29.4. Obviously, other guys behind are all on softs except for Vapor.js, We have a McLaren crossing the line. That will be Minico. Like I said, one FE podium. It comes at the circuit. Top of the table, 28.3. The times are improving. We have AlphaTauri with Gecko behind. He's going to go 28.2 ahead of Minico, so he's found tons of pace for that team. Ferrari have a car coming across the line. That's Skither. We got Cookie and Reese, the next ones here. Reese first before Cookie will come out on track. Reese, 27.4, top of the table. That's the time to beat currently. For the run back, HSR Gecko starting a lap. So how about, or sorry, Vapor, not Gecko. How about I take over this one, turn 1, turn 2. This gets a little tricky for a driver because do you want to go on those curbs or do you not want to go on those curbs? Because we've seen these curbs in the S section affect a driver already. That was Cookie, and the other one that we saw in Q1 was Carlson. Now turn 8 here for a driver can be tricky as well because you got to open out the wheel and go to the right, but you don't want to go too far to the right. You saw Vapor.js try to dip a wheel into the grass right there. I don't think he meant to do that, but he's trying to dart all the way to these white lines and keep it right on him without touching the grass, but also finding time in the process. The hairpin right here, you can rear lock it if you want to find time, but in the process, because of not rear locking it, he lost the rear trying to put it back on the throttle, and now as Vapor.js comes here through 200R and now into Spoon Curve, he just wants to find the time and find anything he can that would set him into Q3 currently because his teammate is right up there with the pack. Here he comes now through the 130R section and sector split, 120 or 112-1, excuse me. Now the Red Bull in front, that is Reese backing down. As for Vapor.js, Castillo triangle to come. 3 more corners. Now negotiating them across the line on mediums though. Where's this in comparison to Cam? It's ahead of Cam. So that's some hope for Vapor.js if he chooses to go to the softs for his second run. But probably most of these guys, JNT, I would assume on used sets.
Yeah, it seems to me that they're really concerned about saving a set of softs because we see Vapor and Cam on mediums. Last session, Cookie was on mediums. Some of these guys are on used tires. Even the ones who probably would not be making it to Q3 and wouldn't feel like they have a need to save tires. So I think these guys might be a little concerned about what they are going to do at the end of the race with their softs. What I'm getting here.
Enter KVS. A really big surprise here when he's raced a lot. You know, getting some podiums for Ferrari now. About to have the most podiums without a win if he can race for Ferrari one more time here this season and get a podium. He'd tie that with Red Fire and get wrecked for most Tier 1 podiums without a win. But right now, impressive enough to go P3! Haas and Alfa Romeo have been his 2 strong suits in the midfield this season. But once again, Enter KVS impresses.
Incredible lap from him. I talked to him earlier. His personal best was only 2/10 up on that lap he just did. That was absolutely flying from him.
Nick Bonventre here making his RPL debut. We talked about him prior. That's a Ferrari trying to get out of the way. They do it to ease this time, whichever Ferrari that was. I think it was Skither trying to get out of the way. But making his RPL debut and the lead Alpine in this session in Q2. Let's see how he does it. The American driver, part of Challengers before. Now, the last few years, from one of my leagues, old ARL league, and prior to that, now messing with the big boys here, 31-4. And as he's messing with the big boys at the top of the tables in leagues, he's here tonight in RPL, obviously on loan, and has a chance to really do something magical. Just like Tyler Freeman we were talking about in Monza, getting a really good result up until post-race penalties and getting crashed by a Triller on the last lap. So can Nick Bonventre replicate that? Alpine only have 1 podium in Tier 1 this game cycle. That comes with Jack Miles and Zandvoort. But as of late, since France, earlier at round number 9, 10-ish area, and more so Netherlands, Monza, other races, they've really found something. And right now, he's finding something through Sector 2. This is an 11-0 from Nick Bonventre. Just tackle the final chicane, and you can get yourself surely in the top 5, just like Blonde did for Williams. But now, here he comes across the line. He will go 5th fastest. He betters Blonde's lap. But my question is, though, who's on used sets, who's on new sets in the session? Because in comparison to those guys, even on used sets, at the top of the table, though, that's still a good lap.
Absolutely. I mean, watching that lap is just so fun. With him, bit of a, I don't know, maybe a higher skill level, higher playing the game level. You saw him use up all the curves, go as far as you can without getting invalidations. It's just really fun to watch that, in my opinion. Just see him
I agree.
extend almost just as far as you literally can.
Yeah, because the drivers here, it's such a driver track. You're just on the limit if you're the drivers. You don't know whether to just throw it in there sometimes, or you don't know whether or not to just sit here and do what Cookie does. Take it normal right now. He's just having a cruise here to end off the season. 9-8 through Sector 2. That's pretty impressive compared to what Nick Bonventre was able to do. The fake TB clocks in a time and goes second fastest. That knocks Vapor to the bottom 5. And as Cookie will put himself out of the bottom 5 here, where is he going on our timing charts? This is a cracking lap. 0.8 tenths faster than the competition.
That's
Used
crazy.
sets or new sets? Which one do you want to go with here? From what we've seen so far, Miniko will have to go again. He's part of the bottom 5. We're now on board with Egg, who doesn't even have a lap yet.
In the Aston, eggs in the Aston this week, and in the Aston he
Ooh.
invalidates at a spoon curve. I don't know how that lap is going, but it ain't no lap no more. As Skizzer goes second with a 26.8, which is 6 tenths faster than anybody else right now.
See, so maybe this is a big difference between the guys on used sets and new sets. This is very interesting. The Chiller, his teammate, is on a lap right now, and, well, I may have caught the end of it, JNT, but not good for Miniko. He had a track limit deletion there on his lap, and he'll have to pit and go again.
Yeah, track limits, maybe in the race they're not as important since you're not pushing the limits as much, but in qualifying, especially at spoon curve and the Degners, it's just so easy to go over the limit and just invalidate your lap. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing some invalidations because if you're pushing this hard and the limits are so close, then it's inevitable.
Especially with more competitive drivers in here tonight. Nick Bonventre making his debut. We had Carlson originally as well. We have other drivers getting better chances like Egg now in the Aston. We saw him in Williams prior. We have the usuals as well in here, but also Blonde on loan. You're going to want to push it that extra tenth or two to try and get yourself into Q3, as we've seen Darius improve on the lap time. He is second fastest, just ahead of his teammate. And that lap time from Cookie, that's top of the table, 26.6. That's faster than our pole time from last season. So we're already getting quite fast on the timing charts.
Yeah, 26.6. That's a big improvement from what, the 27.0 we had top of
Maybe, yeah.
Q1? 4 tenth improvement. If there's another 4 tenths in Q3, that's a pretty crazy lap time we'd be getting.
One thing to note as well, we spoke about the chance of Cookie winning the Drivers' Championship today. He also can get the Constructors' Championship sealed for Red Bull. Miniko improves on the lap, but he's only 9th fastest, and that knocks both AlphaTauris down there. But we spoke about surprises earlier, JNT. I think our surprises right now would have to come from Blonde and NRM KVS because, unusually, Cam and Egg are down there in that relegation zone.
Yeah, but as we've said, Cam hasn't really done representative lap as Jack thinks he's safe in the Aston Martin,
Ooh.
retiring in 6th. That's a pretty bold move, I'd say. Because you
Yes.
have Egg and Cam. Well, maybe
Good.
not.
I was going to say, especially with others yet to improve in that bottom 5, who I think really can based on their pace. I don't know about Red Fire Tiger. Vapor JS is hands in hand 50-50. Gecko's really good at this track. Maybe put on a new set and better your lap. Probably could happen. Blonde's still there. Maybe not in the car, but he's quite talented. And then others right near Jack as well can improve, as well as Cam and Egg. We'll find out if they do it.
Yep, sorry.
Got
If
laps to
I'm
go.
Jack, I'm looking at the timing screens.
Yeah, simple as that. And now, as well, Look at who invalidates, look at who doesn't. Cam is going on a lap right now and in that bottom 5, but because of when he reached the line, even if he invalidates this one, JNT, this is going to be one and done for him here to try and get through into Q3. Turn 1 and turn 2 he takes now, and he comes to the section where he collided with Barney earlier, so now it's no cars in his way or behind him of any sorts in this section now as he comes to the S's, just absolutely trying to go full send here and push the limits on the track. And now you're going to want to put your wheels all the way to the left side here to get some good rotation here towards sector 2, and it's 7/10 up in the time right now. This propels him up to 12th, but not enough for Q3. He has to continue to find time. Hairpin now.
I like what I'm seeing out of him. Does the F123 drift on entry and gets a perfect exit. You love to see it in the Mercedes. I can't believe he pulled that off. I thought he was in the spin. Now up in the run up to spoon curve, clips the curve on the bottom, all the way out on the curb through other part. Now on the exit, you run all the way up. This is an incredible lap from Cam in the Mercedes. Let's see how much he's up right now. And he's up by 1.5 seconds, purple in sector 2.
How much improvement will he find when he comes across the line here to better his lap? Cam crosses the line now with the checkered flag waving. Will it be enough? It's 8th place. Minico is now in the bubble in 10th, so he's at risk. Further behind that, Nick Bonventre improves to 5th. Also behind that is also the Alfa Romeo of Red Fire Tiger. Red Fire Tiger could not find the time there. Behind that, the AlphaTauris are coming. Here's Vapor JS. Couldn't do it. Next up is KVS and Gecko. Gecko, by the way, is currently 13th because Red Fire Tiger's lap did better him. NRM KVS goes 4th fastest, but now we're eyeing our sights on Gecko. He knocks out Minico. Minico's now out, but Ken Blonde and Egg dispatch Cam now, who was safe, and if the both of them can do it, they'll both dispatch Jack there, who thought he was safe in that top 10. Egg now, 10-8, only lap he'll do. Will it be good enough? Blonde. Egg usually in the Williams, sorry. Blonde up by 2/10. Can he better himself into the top 10? Williams is currently in Q3, so Jack will be in, but will both Atsons be in? Egg across, they will be. Blonde out. Blonde almost pulled off the big upset there.
Egg goes 5th fastest, by the way. Great lap from him in the Aston Martin.
Minico says, worst lap of my effing life. That's how he felt about the lap. Not good seeing a McLaren out. Not good seeing a Mercedes out. Wow.
But it
it
is good. Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
I wanted to be happy for Gecko because he got in.
Yeah, I mean, how about that? An AlphaTaurian, an Alpinen, which we're used to seeing from time to time. Both Assens in without Owen here tonight. Owen missing the event. NRM KVS in for Alfa Romeo. 2 seasons in a row, they've gotten Alfa Romeo into the top 10. Here we go. Cookie, the Chiller, Skither, your top 3 in Q2. And in the bottom 5, eliminated Blonde, Cam, Minico, Redfire, and Vapor. So that's made up of 5 different teams in that bottom 5 as we go racing for Q3. Get us your poll predictions, fellas, in chat. We have a 27-9, which was the Season 9 Tier 2 poll time. I doubt we'll see that. We're going to see better than that based on what we've been seeing. Season 11 Tier 2 saw a 26-8. Season 1 FE and Season 9 F1 were both polls set by Cryptic. One of them was a 26-8. The other was a 26-4. Let us know what you guys think we'll be seeing here in Q3. JNT, don't worry too much about the interruptions, but I'll tell you right now, NRM KVS and Gecko being the big interruptions here on the usual sites we see in Q3. We had Cam and Minico out, who'd usually be in, but as I said, Gecko and NRM KVS pulling off the upsets. AlphaTauri getting their first Q3 appearance since round 6 Imola.
That's a pretty crazy stat. I mean, it's been 13 rounds since we've seen them in Q3, and Gecko, at probably one of his best tracks, pulling his weight, putting that car in Q3, and he even went faster than Jack. Yeah, he went faster than Jack Miles, too, in the Aston Martin. It's a pretty big statement from him. Speaking of statements, KVS to be 4th in a session in the Alfa Romeo. That is just some absolute scenes we're seeing here today.
Maybe he gets a podium in an Alfa Romeo?
That
That would
would
be a
be
big shock.
crazy.
Jack
I'd love to
Miles,
see
the
some tier
last one to
2.
do it. You said tier 2? Yeah, he did it in tier 2.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah, true. At least Gecko did it in tier 2 for Alfa Romeo and KVS. Good chance to do it for tier 1 Alfa Romeo.
man, I'm excited. I'm excited for this session. Maybe not for pole, because Cookie gets pole, but for everything behind pole, because it's been close.
Barney's thinking maybe a 26-1, 26-2. I'm thinking that's possible. I don't know. I mean, some of these guys were able to do some personal bests in Q2, so I don't know if anything can get toward a 26-0. Maybe a 26-0 is possible. I think a 25-9 is really stretching it, but we're going to see lots of really good laps here in Q3. We're going to set ourselves to one of the guys who can take pole first. The guy who can change the championship course today is Skither, starting a lap now. He's one of the drivers still eligible, one of 2 drivers. You got Cookie, who can take it today, and Skither, who can change him taking it if he wins the race. Ferrari as well, no longer in championship contention as a constructor, but if McLaren do not see any more title hope after today, which is probably possible not having a single car in Q3, we very likely... Oh, that was the Aston almost getting in the way. That was close. I was going to say, we very well... That was Jack. We very well could see McLaren battling with Ferrari for what will be a mistake from Skither. I was just going to say, we could be seeing Ferrari battling for second place then. We'll
Yeah,
go
Skiz.
set ourselves on to Chiller. Sorry.
About to say Skizzer has had a shocker of a lap. I saw him make 2 huge mistakes.
And
Not
the
what you want.
gravel got to him. Not good. To Chiller. Got pole here in Season 1 this race. 9 seasons later, trying to do that once again. And Japan has been a very interesting track for the Chiller, to say the least. We'll find out this season, though, in Season 10. Now on PC. Full time here with PC. We'll see if he can set himself at the top of the table. 11-1 there. Gonna pick up maybe a little bit of dirty air from the Mercedes of TB in front of him. Find out. The Chiller tackling the final chicane. This will be the provisional pole time being set here. He crosses the line now. It will be a 27-7 they will be chasing. Further back is Gecko. How is Gecko's benchmark? It's a 1.1 second deficit. Cookie and Reese are further back. Reese Dainty trying to go for pole. He will go for pole now. 26-9. Skither obviously with the benchmark. Cookie on a lap now. 10-1. And Aston gets out of the way just in time. And Cookie, here he comes. Speeding that thing to the final chicane. Now hopping over these curbs to try to find the time and go right near his teammate, maybe in front of his teammate. He's been on pole already multiple times this season. He'll go once again. 26-5. Cookie with a provisional pole for a 16th time right now.
16 is a pretty crazy number. Skizzer, is he on a lap?
Yes, he is.
He is on a lap. He backed off and now he's on the lap. Sector 1 came up purple, so that's good for him to see as we go through the hairpin. Pretty, I was going to say pretty good on traction, but he had a little slide on exit, but that might be because of the tire wear. Coming up to Spoon Curve, revving out 7th gear, lovely Ferrari engine. A little bit of a picking up a little understeer on entry, hitting the curb, and running out wide on exit, pretty much as you can without getting invalid. Sector 2 split will be a 110.5, which I don't think is too bad. Through 130R, flat out obviously, and now through the final chicane, very cautious on entry, not taking as much curb as you would want to do, but pretty decent on exit, and it's going to be a 127.0, putting him behind Reese and Cookie.
Gecko comes in, egg on a lap. NRM KVS invalidates. Nick Bonventre, the first to cross the line of our other runners further on back. How about 5th place for the American? Pretty good from him. Next to cross the line is Egg. Egg first. 6th. Then Jack. Jack going purple to Sector 2. Jack had an okay qualifying here in the Ferrari last season, but coming off of a first podium with Aston Martin last week, we'll find out what he can do on the charts. He'll go 5th fastest, and now Nick Bonventre in an Aston Martin sandwich right there. It's Jack, Bonventre, Egg, best of the rest.
The only one not to get a valid lap in on those first runs is KVS. He's down at last. The Chiller and Gecko both did not set representative laps down in 8th and 9th, so they're only going to have one chance to get their shot in for where they're going to start.
JNT, I want to ask you a question quickly. We had Tier 2 yesterday. You had got your 3rd consecutive pole, and you've got a 26-point lead provisionally right now in the Tier 2 championship. This is the finale track for Tier 2, and a lot of other drivers who either do Tier 2, such as Wavy or even Invade, racing tonight, or watching the stream. We have about 15 viewers here, quite a lot from what we've had in Tier 1 recently. And they're probably watching here, Japan tonight, either because they want to watch RPL or they're doing nothing else with their life right now, or wanting to get some notes here for the Tier 2 event. What kind of notes are you picking up on for Tier 2 with this being the finale later on in the season?
What I'm looking at as a Tier 2 driver, not as a commentator, throttle input for the car that I'm in and seeing how much they can push it before you get oversteer. Battery, I'm looking at battery, and I'm looking at fuel. I'm looking at those 3 things.
All right.
I'm going to be looking at that the whole race, even though I'm commentating, because that's what I'm most interested to see.
It works out better. I mean, I don't blame you, Tadpole. I mean, we all have better things we could do, but I'm saying it as well because you guys love watching RPL. I mean, we have the YouTube channel, which always gets quite a bit of views here, and we got lots more to look forward to before our 200th Tier 1 race in Texas. Lots of interesting content we'll bring to you guys. The Chiller, 8th on the boards, trying to make it better than that. He's just behind Egg. He's got other cars in between him and his teammate, TB, Jack, Nick. And now the Chiller coming through turn 1 and turn 2. That looked okay, but we'll go on board this time. S section, over the curbings, a little too much. And he's having to back out of it. That's not good. You can't plow your car over the curbs like the Chiller did, or that's what happens to you. You end up bouncing and just being sent straight. And he's had to back out of it, surely, and he pretty much has 8/10 down.
Final runs, final nerves probably shooting through the roof right now. If you're not Cookie or Reese, maybe. If you're Skizzer, you want to start as high up as you can because you know you're going to have a 5-place grid penalty and need to pass some maybe slower cars if you even want to have a shot at maybe finishing on the podium today.
Not only that as well, but the fact is that Ferrari will be chasing 2nd place on McLaren, who still have a chance at the Constructors' title, but that looks to be wrapped up today too, as is the drivers. We'll talk about that a lot more during the formation lap tonight. We've got NRM KVS setting his sights up on turn 1 now, turn 2. You can just see how the drivers end up opening the wheel to arc the corner and get better rotation. You got a Mercedes in front. That's a Mercedes off track to get out of the way. Fair play from TB, not doing what his teammate did, but NRM KVS just edging those curbs a little bit, just dipping a slight wheel on there, not riding it like the Chiller did, and finding time by doing that. This right here, with no traffic in his way, is going to be a one-and-done lap here. And I think he barely missed Degna 2 or Degna 1 right there, but it seemed to be okay in the process. Now, usually, maybe we're locking it there at the hairpin to find extra rotation and extra time and get on the power better, but he hasn't done that. He actually did a really good hairpin without doing that, and without losing the rear when getting on the power. 200R, he was able to put it toward the right, and now it's spoon curve here. You just have to use the curbs without going over all 4 wheels, and he seems to have done that pretty well. He can set himself ahead of Gecko here, but as the times improve, where should he really be? Maybe 9th, maybe 8th? We'll find out. 10-9 from NRM KVS, and then we'll go to Cookie, who's trying to get to pole.
Drifting. Cookie has drifted for the last 2 corners.
Well,
He
we'll
will
watch
not
him.
be improving. By the
Watch
way,
him as soon
chaos
as
in the
possible.
Ferrari garage. The Chiller coming in from his failed run and having to come back in hurt Skizzer. Skizzer only got out
Wow.
with 1 minute 40 to go. I don't know if he's gonna have enough time to get a lap in with optimal tire temps.
Wow. All right, so formation lap is off. It's not on in the settings, apparently, according to Minico. So we'll
What?
go over
Ooh.
any sort of strategy quickly. I did not realize whoever hosted Jack, that is, put formation lap off. I mean, there's no reason for it to be off. It's worked in Tier 2, and it was done in Tier 1 last week. So we'll go over our standings and strategy very quickly before the race starts then. But now, Skither, I think he'll make the checker flag. It's now a question of will to Chiller. This is going to be really close and tight.
I don't know. I'm anxious for
Cookie
them.
will make it again. We got TB on a lap. TB is up by a 10th. This is pretty good from the Season 8 champion. Reese got to the flag. Cookie will get to the flag. Skither will. The Chiller is now in the thick of time to get to the checker flag. Egg is also about to miss the flag too.
The
Egg
Chiller's
makes
not
it,
gonna
but the
make
Chiller
it.
misses it. Two of the last
Heartbreak.
3 weeks, one of our drivers in Q3 has missed the flag, and it's cost a Chiller, who will be behind NRM KVS there, excuse me. But as I was saying, where NRM KVS should or shouldn't be, he should be ahead of the Chiller easily.
Axe.
Gecko up by 2/10 now on the
fun.
timing charts. What will this do for him? TB is up by 2.5 tenths. This could set him on the front row. And Mercedes this season, in terms of their qualifying's only one P2 spot on the grid. Now they're looking for just maybe a spot better if the Sector 3 is good enough, or another one. How about P2? 2/10 the gap. Gecko across the line, improving massively, goes to 7th. That's a miraculous lap from Gecko. Now we've got both asses on laps. Egg is invalidated. Jack is up on the time by a 10th. This could be him getting in between Reese and Skither here if this is a massive one. And now Cookie down in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's gone purple, but he's still down on the lap. So if anyone has a miraculous lap here, they can get pole. Reese is up by 4/10, and Reese can take a first pole of the season. Reese does it! Cookie trying to remain on the front row, but could improve, and he does so, just barely on the skin of his teeth in the final sector.
Oh
and
my
Skither,
God,
oh my God,
3,000.
3,000's on the front row. But Red Bull end up surviving to take the most single poles with this season compared to their stint prior in Season 5 for most poles in a season. But it's Cookie, 3,000's the gap on pole.
That was insane. Reese to the top, Cookie to the top, Skizzer in second within basically 15 seconds. That was absolutely insane end to qualifying.
Wow. Red Bull in Season 6, sorry, not Season 5, they had 16 poles that season. This season, they had 16 poles into this race.
Wow,
Make it
I'm
a
screenshotting
17th.
that.
And Ferrari get their 7th front row of the season, but the one that got away is what Skither may be thinking. 3,000ths. Race Dainty as well has not had pole this season. Just 24,000ths off. And similar to last season, we have a close gap. This time, it's in the top 3. Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull. TB is 4th. Jack is 5th. Remember that 5 place from Skither? That will be in place.
Cookie
Nick.
had the Monaco Oh man.
Monaco what? What do you have?
He had the Monaco Max Verstappen lap. I'm hearing he was 4/10 down in sector 1.
I checked that for a split second. That was crazy.
Anyway,
Nick,
continue with what you're saying.
Gecko, KVS, Egg, the Chiller round out our top 10, folks. And we're getting ready for the Grand Prix. I'm going to go over your strategy quickly, folks, before we get to the cooldown period here, which we're getting to now. Pit stop lost 21.5 seconds. ERS gain back 26%. And your strategy for the race, hard medium, hard soft. You can also go the revert strategy. And we saw, I believe, one of the guys, I don't remember who it was. I think maybe it was a Red Bull or a McLaren did this last season. Don't remember off the top of my head. But soft mediums is possible too around here. We'll find out who does it, part of the drivers. As for Cookie and Skither, Skither needs to win this race with Cookie getting either 7th or 8th or lower. The gap is 149 in the championship. As for the Red Bull and McLaren's sake, in the constructors, 260 is the gap. In order for the championship to be won in the constructors, the gap needs to be 220.
I'm gonna go get water because that'd probably help. Bye, chat. See you in 5 minutes.
You might miss the start, but I've got you covered, folks. 27 laps here tonight. A driver's championship can be won, and a constructor's championship can be won. Very crucial to have things go your way here tonight for Japan. I will send the championship scenarios into the main chat here, I think, in just a moment. Either the main chat or driver's chat. Doesn't matter. Formation lap is off. Just making sure. So, folks, get your final predictions in here. We don't have long until everything gets underway. Just a reminder, folks, we have Tier 2 next week in Mexico. F1 next week will be in Vegas, but here's the action now. All right, here come the 5 red lights where a championship can be won today. We'll find out if it happens. The 5 red lights come on, and the 5 lights go out here to kick off the Japanese Grand Prix. Both Red Bulls on the front row, side by side, racing into turn 1. They figure it out while Jack Miles on the inside of TB. Gonna go side by side here at turn 2. Jack Miles ahead. Now Nick Bonventre trying to cover off Gecko, and Skither at the grid penalty. Obviously had to start farther back here, and now side by side with Miniko trying to hold off Red Fire Tiger and keep him at bay here through Sector 1. Hunted as well has Vapor JS in front of him, who he's trying to avoid there because they were 3 wide, and that's obviously Carlson not in the session any longer. Ghosted, they figured it out, going through him, and now lap 1 looks to be very clean, but now single file. Now out of Degna 2, just don't make any mistakes. Come out of there on the power and with the right mindset. Here we go, side by side, 3 rows deep. Ferrari, a part of that action there. A slide from De Chiller. KVS getting the traction, getting through there. Gecko having to concede on Skither, and TB conceded on Nick Bonventre, who got a good start up to P4. And now NRM KVS and De Chiller going side by side here. Contact, Miniko around.
Oh, the heartbreak continues for the McLaren. Bad qualifying turns into a worse start to the race.
And
Vapor's
no!
out. Vapor's crashed out of Spoon Curve. Safety car is out already on lap 1.
We didn't get one for last season, but we make up for it this season. Safety car out. Wow. Vapor JS. Done already.
Some things to look at right now. We got on the soft tires, Axe has made his way up to 4th, I think from 5th because of the Skizzer grid penalty. Gecko chilling up in 7th in the AlphaTauri, which is absolutely crazy that this is still a thing. And KVS in 9th. You got the Ferrari 6th and 8th, which is a bit better than when they started. I'd say they got to be pretty happy with this, to be honest. They got some track position, now they got a little bit of time to cool down. Jack in 3rd, behind the 2 Red Bulls. Again, pretty much the same position that he ended last race in.
Well, I will say, look at the positions gained from some of those guys in the back taking advantage of the trouble. Hunted 6.
Yeah, Cam especially.
Cam easily had to gain spots. He did. Invade up 3. Barney up 3. That's with some of those guys pitting, though, at the back of the field, by the way. Miniko contact into Spoon Curve led to him spinning. Vapor JS may have had contact. I don't know what happened with him, but he's out of the race. I'm going to check the driver's chat to see what happened with him.
I did the exact same thing that he did in a league race here 3 weeks ago. You go too wide there, and you just kind of die.
Well, it depends on the space you give as well. You have to be very mindful of the drivers alongside you. Safety car could be coming in this lap. We'll find out if it does. In the meantime, let's take this moment to remind you of the fact that Red Bull are 1-2, and they've had 1-2s earlier in the season with Reese and Cookie. But this would be the most crucial one on the day they can win the Constructors for a 6th straight time.
It'd be pretty special, wouldn't it, for the race they won the Constructors and drivers for it to be a 1-2. I think that's pretty much what they want, and what they really desperately want here. I mean, they're in position for it.
Man, I know we're in the race now with the safety car being out and deployed and not yet coming into the pits, and will be next time, but that qualifying session where you had Skither Cookie, Reese, the top three, all separated by 25 thousandths there. Quite impressive. It's unfortunate that Skither had that grip penalty because he's on the hards and he gained a spot there on Gecko, but it would be so great to see him up here in the top two battle with both Red Bulls and, of course, Jack there in third.
Time to reset. You had the start, you had lap 1, now it's time to chill, reset, and prepare for the safety car restart. That's going to be pretty slow, because that's how they go on this game. You just got to be
Very
ready
true.
for it. You got to be on it for the...
Yeah, have the reaction time that you need. TTM Barney, back to the pit lane, going for mediums. I think if you're on the mediums here, you're obviously going for a two-stop, of course. You're not going to make the hards the rest of the way. I really doubt you will. But you at least get yourself in the same sequence as other drivers, but maybe on better tires. That's going to be the question from those guys at the back of the grid. Obviously, a big reset for Minico, who had that spin at Spoon Curve and going around. Gecko, Vapor JS slightly after.
There's 3 laps, and Barney's made 2 pit stops. Very interesting.
Maybe he can go for the pit stop record later on. I don't know. Maybe.
And the 15 stop.
I, by the way, am going to send the championship scenarios here into the commentators chat there. Therefore, you can look at it. But lots of things currently going Red Bull's way to go for a sixth straight title. It's a tongue twister, folks. But as for them in the Drivers' Championship, Cookie can get it. And right now he is getting it. Japan has never been a track where a Drivers' Championship has been clinched in RPL. And today that may change. Cookie, the leader of the safety car restart, he's just got to take this very carefully and can't be hesitant on when he goes or doesn't go. Here we go for the restart, JNT. Cookie leading the charge. And that's over Reese Dainty, Jack, Nick Bonventre, TB, the top 5. Our first safety car in over 80 laps of Tier 1 racing. Back on the green flag now.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing as Reese has a great restart off the safety car. He's very close to Cookie. I don't know if he'll go for it because they're teammates, but a great restart reaction time from Reese to get away from Jack and pull away a little bit at the start here. Some position changing a little farther back in the field, but so far no drama. Never mind, I guess there's some drama.
Blonde, Minico.
Oh, yep, there is. Wavy's around.
Wavy. That's what it was. It was a tap with Blonde and Minico, and it sent Wavy spinning.
Minico's really not having the day he needs today, is he?
It's Blonde who is trying to avoid Invade there, because Invade made a little mishap there of turn 1, and it all caught Minico and Blonde off guard. Wavy, of course, the one who comes out worse. But in front of that, though, Nick Bonventre looked like he was going to go for it on Jack Miles, but Jack Miles on the medium tires, keeping him at bay currently. Now, Nick turning on the battery, but how much of that battery do you use around here, especially considering the amount you save in the pit lane ends up being 26%. It's just such a big question. Hunted getting Red Fire Tiger now. That's for 12th place. Further on back, both Haas teammates, they swap. And now Nick Bonventre using the battery, and at 130R, he'll get 3rd place here for Alpine.
Yeah, if you're Jack, I don't think you fight
the
that.
Chiller 2! Wow! 130R was a big overtaking spot last season. Sorry to cut in JNT, but they do it once again with 2 different drivers. My God.
Was that around the outside, was it?
Both on the inside. Impressive.
Oh, really? I thought I
Reese
saw
Dainty
some wrap it around.
around the outside, ducks out and can't go for the lead, but another spinner, it's Invade.
Man, that was a really drama-filled lap. I thought it'd be a little calmer than that.
I really thought with the opening lap drama we saw already, we would get some more drama on the restart with Reese and Cookie, but Reese just playing the team game, being smart here. But you don't want the Alpine and Nick Bonventre to catch up because he can pull off the upset here like T.S. Korsman did just a few seasons prior.
I don't know how content Reese is with staying behind Cookie. Reese right now has some really good pace. He's been able to stick with him pretty much equal. He's broken out of DRS of the Alpine. And he almost went for it down in the turn one. I don't know if it was overspeed or if he wanted to go for it, but I think that was a message to let Cookie know that he's just not just going to sit behind him and watch.
Well, Reese didn't want to go for anything on Cookie in races prior, but right now he's right there with his teammate, and he's got the chance to do so. Only 10% worse on the battery, and Reese Dainty is eyeing up a move around the outside here at the Casio Triangle. Now Cookie edges out in front.
That's going to let the Alpine get in the DRS, who's almost broke it on Jack. So Axe trying to maybe even get in the leader's DRS, which is pretty crazy. Reese trying to go around the outside into turn one, but doesn't have enough. Cookie will stay ahead for now.
The day that Cookie can win the championship, his teammate, the most recent champion, Reese Dainty, putting pressure on him. Cam leading the charge still at Gecko, but Cam is out of DRS right there. The Chiller right in the back of his teammate here, Skither, both on different strategies. We'll find out what they do here at Ferrari, but right now Nick Bonventre using all that battery right there, almost going below 10% just to stay in DRS of Reese Dainty right there though. But both Red Bulls below 60% now on the battery. Very, very costly if you're trying to ending up pulling a DRS gap. They're not going to be able to do that using as much battery as they have, because once they're able to conserve, it's all going to be the conservement being in the pit lane. Hunted gets egg.
100 up 8 spots from starting, remember, in the back because of that qualifying ban. He's up 8. Cam is up 9 in the Mercedes. Do not understate that. 6 laps in, and he's already pretty much back in the race with everyone who he would be racing. As Cookie is almost broken out of DRS of Reese. This is crucial. Cookie
Both
is
using
basically
battery.
bolting.
That's
he said
very
this
crucial.
last week. Yeah, sorry. Cookie
You're
said
good.
this last week to me, but he said pretty much he let Jack stay in his DRS for a couple laps and he bolted, and I'm wondering if he just did the same thing now, because he let Reese stay pretty close for a couple laps and now he's just gone.
Nick Bonventre blinking. He's below 10% in the background. Entering KVS gets Gecko for P9, but Jack Miles right on the back of Nick Bonventre because he lost DRS to Reese, and he's also below 10% on the battery, as you saw right there. Very, very vital to be better on your battery. TTM Barney up a spot on the Ghost car. At least in the process, TTM Barney had DRS right there, so that did play into his hands, but it was a DRS little mind game there of, nope, I'm going to turn on my battery, you're not going to be in DRS, and then Reese saying, nope, I'm going to turn on my battery, I still want to be in DRS here. Now, the fake TB just following behind Jack Miles in this train, Skither closing up, the Chiller there in the pack, and right here, this is a 5-car race.
This is going to get pretty interesting. Alpine, dead softs, invade around in Sector 1. But the Alpine on dead softs in front of this train of cars who are eager to pass him. This can be pretty exciting here. As you see Nick just with that little twitch of oversteer at a spoon curve, you know those tires are going off if you're Jack. And if I'm him, I don't know where I'm going for the move, but I think he's going to wait till the DRS straight. Maybe not. Side by side. Maybe. Yep.
Down the inside.
Down the inside.
Late lunge, going for it, getting the move done. Jack Miles through for P3, back on the podium again. That yellow flag is for invade, and now 3 wide on the main straight. TB, Skither, both negotiating their way past Nick Bonventre for 4th and now 5th. Nick just fell from 3rd to 6th. Egg also gets Red Fire Tiger on the main straight. Fair move right there from Egg, also on the softs.
That was pretty crazy. That caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for that.
Oh, and now the Chiller and Nick Bonventre banging wheels there through the S section. The Chiller wanted to have a go for it, but couldn't. And now catching up to this pack is Cam as well. He's in 8th, trying to get 7th and 6th.
Little dicey there. The Chiller does not want to lose those 3 ahead of him because he knows that's his race. So he wanted to try and get by as quickly as he could, but now he's being put into the clutches of Cam in that Mercedes, which is not where he wants to be.
So vulnerable to Chiller, so vulnerable because of that. And now Minico on Red Fire Tiger. How about through 200R? Side-by-side action here. Minico around the far outside, having the inside line for the next corner. Squeezing Red Fire, gets the move done. Further up in front.
Good move, my Minico.
So much action for 3rd, while Jack Miles tries to maintain the podium.
I wonder with DRS, I think TV, he's a little faster than Jack right now, even on the hard tires. I think he's going to maybe go for it here on this straight. 56% on the battery. Will he have enough? No, Skizzer! Skizzer's going to, with tons of battery, he's going to try and get a
Ooh.
virtual safety car. I don't know who was ahead at the time of VSC. Skizzer did get ahead of TB. That is crucial.
I think the Chiller and Cam, also a part of the same car's second drivers, probably going to have that same argument because those two were side by side when the virtual safety car came out. Egg will benefit off of this massively. He's come into the pits. We saw the virtual safety car affect the way the race ended up being last season in this race. The cause of the VSC was for Invade, no front wing. This has not been upgraded, so these guys will have to take it cautiously to not get a drive-through.
Egg pitting onto the mediums, I'm assuming trying to get into the race with Hunted and Gecko because he was racing around where Minico and Red Fire were. So that undercut might help him get into Hunted and Gecko's race, which could be good for him.
VSC ending, DRS enabled, and now Skither has the advantage here, getting on the traction, and now trying to get Jack Miles here before Spoon Curve, but can't do it because of him not doing it and Jack Miles being in front there with not as much speed into Spoon Curve. This closes up the pack once again. No battery for Skither, so he's got to use it here. And now 3 wide for a moment, getting to 130R, side by side. So much overspeed from Nick Bonventre and the Chiller behind. Now going 2x2 again.
That was crazy. That was absolutely insane. 2x2, 2 rows deep through 130R. I've never seen anything like that. TB tucking behind the rear wing of Skizzer for trying to get him, but he gets Jack. They both get Jack. A little contact in turn 1.
He wanted to push him along there at turn 1.
Crazy, man.
Hunted, the first one in the penalty box. That's massive.
That was freaking crazy, man. They're bump drafting here at Japan. I don't even know what the hell's going on anymore.
Can't be
Got
doing
that Formula NASCAR.
It's going to cause an issue with these guys if they keep trying to push each other along like that. TB did it to Skither, and the Chiller was about to do it to Nick Bonventre, but he went for the move. He got him. Cam did too. Cam is in 7th now because of that. And look at the pack behind him. NRM KVS is there as well. And that's a spin. That is Blonde. An unforced error there.
Oof. He was doing pretty well with Red Fire, I think. So that kind of sucks for him.
Invade retires from the pit lane. He did not want to ruin the race anymore. Blonde gets overtaken by Egg now because of the damage sustained to Blonde's car. But yeah, as I was saying, these guys are really pushing each other along, realizing the pace they have, and DeChiller is not waiting along any longer. He's going to blink on Jack Miles, getting through before 130R once again. More moves happening at 130R.
The aggression up here at the front is something like I haven't seen in a long time in league racing. This has been pretty wild up here, along with the 3-second penalty. I think for this straight it might calm down a little bit, but for these last 3 laps.
Well, look who's caught up to this train. NRM KVS, HSR Gecko, and Hunted LAX. Keep in mind as well, the Ferrari is leading this train. That Ferrari of Skither realizes this car has terrible tire wear. Blonde is in, obviously going to repair that front wing damage, but he chooses to retire. So, between the leaders, a 2.8 second gap at the moment. Let's see if it stays that way here. Have I lost you, JNT? Are you still here? Oh, he's still here. Well, until he cuts in, I will continue to take over and speak to you guys about upcoming events. Keep in mind here for Tier 1, we got Vegas coming up next week, China, Texas, and then the 2 final races this season. Now Hunted and Gecko side by side at 130R, pinching, landing on each other. Now Gecko has to contest the place.
Alright, something come up for a minute. My bad.
You're good, don't worry. Still more continuing. Here's Cam and Jack now.
Wavy
Jack
is
obviously
stuck.
fell
Oh, we
back with the
reset the track.
overtakes. And Jack has been overtaken. You said Wavy reset?
Wavy got stuck, so we had to reset the track. I don't know the rules on that.
Well, I think he might be okay because he was stuck. As long as he clips it, he should be okay. How about 14th place? Respectable battle between Egg and Barney. Egg through, Barney behind.
Egg battling a Haas again, 2 weeks in a row. It was him and Knights, I think, last week, right?
Yeah, it was with Williams, though, Egg was with, interestingly enough, though. So this time in an Aston. Obviously on a better strategy this time. 21.5 seconds, the pit lane gap. Right now, Egg would be getting all these pack of cars, I believe.
You'd be getting up to
Third.
the Alpine. No.
No,
Yes.
I think he'd be getting third.
Yeah.
He's 28 seconds back.
Wait,
29
no, yeah, that's
now.
crazy. He would be getting up to third.
21.5 is the pit stop loss. 8.5 the gap. He'd be getting in between this train, actually. So this will be very interesting when these guys do choose to pit, because he'll cycle himself out to anywhere in this DRS train and actually having a chance for a podium. Wow.
I don't know how to do math anymore. My math capabilities are just gone. Here, though, on the main straight, we have a few cars close to each other. We might have some drama here as Cam goes into the pits. He was on the soft tires. Down the main straight, TB for third on Skizzer. Pretty easy DRS overtake, and that's the Mercedes man up in the third.
If Skither wants to continue his title hopes, if somehow both Red Bulls crash out, he currently would be taking second over them, but that would not be enough to sustain a chance at the championship any longer as this race gets to about halfway. Also, something to note as well is Egg comes out ahead of Cam, and now Cam comes out ahead of Barney. But Red Bull also would be taking the Constructors' title with it too. A 1-2 is good enough as well.
The gap between Egg and Cam is about 2 seconds. I don't know what the delta was between Cam and the start of that train, but
Maybe 1.5, I'm going to guess, if I had to give an estimate.
Yeah. If they stay out for long enough, Egg will leapfrog all of them.
Well, Nick Bonventre just leapfrogged TT and Barney. I think TT and Barney gave it to him quite easy there. Nick Bonventre probably just saw in his rearview mirror Barney have a snap.
Down here, coming in the 130R, we got the Mercedes and 2 Ferraris. Basically nose to tail again with Jack lurking if anything happens behind. Skizzer looking on the overtake on TV down into the final chicane. Will any of them box this time? No, and none of them do. Down on the main straight, Skizzer, 100% battery, turns it on down the main straight. It's going to be a fairly easy overtake on TB. DeChiller in the slipstream of TB, not close enough. And that's just a switch for third place.
Skither reclaims it. Enter MKVS and Minico into the pits. With Skither here, watch that battery, JNT, because when he turns on all that energy, that's when I think he'll pit, because he's on the hard tires now. He'll extend longer, waiting for a safety car, and if it does work into his favor, or not, it's when he turns on that battery and is below 80% when we should be expecting him to be pitting, because the ERS gain back around here is massive, 26%. When NRM KVS and Minico pitted, they came out behind Nick Bonventre, Egg, and Cam.
Something to think about, that this safety car, it really helped him, because it got the other medium runners to extend their stints to maybe end up pitting around the same lap that he would pit on his hards, which would be huge for him, as he would have a really large tire advantage and have track position.
Both Red Bulls lead the charge, but will they be coming into the pits anytime soon with Reese and Cookie?
I think he just burnt a lot of battery.
That may be the turning point. Here is Reese Dainty. Is he pitting? Nope. Skither, though, the two-time champion of Tier 1, is staying out.
Staying out.
But if he's using this much battery down the main straight, he may be pitting this lap because his teammate's in.
Killer, I'm assuming, goes on the hards. I can't see because this game sucks. Yes, he goes on to the hards.
He started on the mediums, so gonna switch to the hards. Red Fire Tiger on the hards, gonna switch to the mediums. How about that? Nick and Egg, ninth place on the cards. Obviously, they'll move up once everything figures itself out with the pit stops. Nick Bonventre through on Egg and yellow flags. That is for TTM Barney, maybe. Yes. Everybody having lots of issues today. Hunted through on KVS, and the Chiller comes out behind Eggles.
So this is kind of the battle to be that leader of the train, I'm guessing. Nick got by Egg, and Nick's on newer tires by a pretty significant amount than Egg. So he might put up a bit more of a fight when these guys pit and have to come up and pass him.
That's a crash on track,
Barney,
and that's a safety car.
Safety car!
Oh my word. The second one of this event.
Now what do you do? Now what do you
pit.
do if you just boxed?
If Cookie and Reese end up pitting, they will make it to the end on softs. Cookie's in. Reese gonna go for the double stack. You have to. You can't pull anything silly. That is a safe bet.
I think,
for sure, yeah.
This is, I think, the perfect scenario for Red Bull. Best tire wear and can get onto the softs. Reese is held, but it doesn't matter. They're now 1-2 on softs, and I don't think any other car can run the softs as best as they can.
Jack goes to softs. Jack believes he can make it. Cam is in. Nick Bonventre can stay out here, but he's going to go in. Egg as well surely had to go in with the amount of difference he had on tire wear. And the Chiller for Ferrari stays out here, and he's going to come out right behind Jack here when everybody either stays out or goes in.
The Chiller got shafted by that safety car. He went on the hards. I think he would have been in a pretty good spot maybe at the end, but now he's not only on a one-lap worn hards, but everyone around him is on mediums and softs. Not good for him at all.
Cam on softs, Haunted on softs, Minico on softs. McLaren having a stinker of a race right now. They need to recover. Right now, they're going to end up pointless. And Red Bull, they didn't score points in this race the last time we were here back in round 18 of season 8. Right now, they're running 1-2 with their cars, having a chance to win the Constructors title and wrap that up early. They've won the Constructors Championship the last 3 seasons at Brazil. This time could come in Japan. And same for the Drivers' Championship for the first ever time. But as for Cookie, you could just see him under the safety car. Because of the amount of fuel he put in, he is just absolutely burning it. This safety car should definitely help people make it to the end of the race on fuel, considering last season in this race, we saw about 4 or 5 different drivers run out of fuel.
I've never really perfected that running in neutral gear thing.
I always almost spun when I did it in F2 cars, so I made sure not to do it again in F2 cars. But it works a lot well with F1 cars. Haas with a double DNF tonight. 4 DNFs, a lot compared to what we were used to seeing here in Tier 1, but most guys in Japan really not having it be their day. We've seen so many self-spins. We've seen as well lots of side-by-side action, and track limits only hurting Hunted as of the current moment.
Not panning out well for them in Japan, but something that is panning out well is Red Fire's race right now. He's sitting P7 in the Alfa Romeo with only 1 lap on his medium tires. This safety car put him in a pretty good spot because he's not racing those faster cars. He's ahead of all those cars he was racing, which for him in that Alfa, as called up as a reserve on loan, is an absolutely excellent showing from him. I said pan in Japan. That's fun. Hello. Well, Brian's died, so now you just have me. Believe the safety car will be coming in this lap because Wavy has just pulled out of the pits in the Williams, and we'll probably be able to catch them before the safety car trigger. A look right now at some of the back half of the top 10. Cam in the Mercedes on a new set of softs. will really want to be trying to look at getting past the Alpha and the Ferrari, as he probably wants to stay in the race of Jack TV and Skizzer, as the two Red Bulls will probably be clear of all of them.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, with the safety car restart coming in, these guys aren't used to many safety car restarts in recent races just because we didn't have any in Monza, Singapore, or Portugal. Sorry, we did have one in Monza, but it came in the first half of the race. So we really went 2.5 races without a safety car, and now we've got 2 safety cars in a row. So it's going to be different for these drivers, especially on tires that either they stayed out on, they came in and boxed for, and a variety of things. Nick Bonventre and Chiller on hards, the rest on softs or mediums. We're now coming in on the safety car restart here. Cookie and Reese the top 2. It was Red Bull 1-2 last week, but it was with Gecko and Cookie. Now, a Ferrari there, ducking out, getting in the way there of whoever may have been there, almost causing an accordion effect. But now Cookie, when does he choose to go? Pedal to the metal, when? Speeding up, and now. Back on the gas we go. Green flag racing once again, and here they go racing toward turn 1. You mentioned Formula E NASCAR being a possibility with bump drafting. Well, here they go ducking out.
What the hell is Cam doing?
Well, he was ducking out, I guess, to try to avoid anyone picking up any slipstream, but there was really no one in proximity of him, though.
That caught me so off guard. I'm like, that was crazy. That was... Anyway, through the S is sector 1, everything's still staying pretty uniform, although they are all fairly close together still. Dirty Air not really doing much, which is kind of surprising. You think they'd be at least half a second apart.
Under the bridge. Here comes Cam on Red Fire Tiger. This is the first spot he can gain here on the restart. Jack and TB side by side further in front of that, but Cam can't get the outside traction he wants on Red Fire, so now he uses the overtake, dips from left to right, and now switchback right there on a straight in 200R gets the move done. How about Jack and TB battling there for 4th place very crucially, and Skither on those mediums winning out very big on that safety car.
Something that I think to mention was the Aston Martin tire wear. He's went on the softs as well. The Ferrari cannot keep up with the Aston's tire wear, and I think that would help Jack maybe claim another podium 2 weeks in a row. What do you think?
Maybe. Here we go. Lots of battling behind Jack. Nick Bonventre and Red Fire Tiger wheel to wheel there at the Casio Triangle. Nick Bonventre now battling Hunted. Are we going to go 3 abreast into turn 1 here? We got 4 cars right under a blanket here for this battle. 3 wide for a second. Red Fire Tiger leading it. And now around the outside, Hunted almost chops off Nick Bonventre, 2 Academy teammates.
He did a little bit, but somehow Nick kept it straight, which I would not be able to do that. Hunted now hounding Red Fire through Sector 1. Red almost pushing him through. Look at this bump drafting.
He's trying to do the Sonoda. Trying to pass the X of the S's.
Oh, and he does!
Oh!
He tries, he goes for it! Oh my god!
Oh my god! That was a major pinch.
Close the door.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, you took my word.
Okay. Well, regroup yourselves here, guys battling for 8th place, because this is all for the last 3 point spots, and Hunted having the penalty would put Egg in the points. Minico, we saw back in Sector 1, got a cut back on Wavy and did a nice little move there. Reese out of DRS on Cookie, but now back in it, and collision! Gecko and Minico. Minico's now off and comes back on. His teammate Hunted now trying for another place on the order. Here he comes now at 130R.
Side by side with Red Fire through 130R. Can he make the move stick? This time going into the final chicane. Red Fire to the line. Big contact. That's going to allow Nick to slip through. Almost on both of them. Red Fire.
Oh no!
The place is around. Big contact. Gecko and Red Fire both off in the final corner. I don't know how they both didn't DNF. That looked like it was going to be an airplane crash. But big contact there.
Wow. And we still got 7 to 8 laps remaining in this race as well. This battle for P8 continues. Put NRM KVS up to the points now because of the collision. He will have it when the penalties get applied. Hunted, no battery. Nick's got about 4 times more battery than he does. Egg as well, 35. And KVS and Minico now in a little battle for the last point spot.
It's all kicking off here in Suzuka, and maybe It'll keep doing that with the DRS because you have
Oh!
Jack on. Oh, we have more stuff happening. I think
Late
Mineko's going
lunge?
for an overtake. Yeah.
That's amazing. That is absolutely phenomenal from Miniko. Perfectly timed and perfectly put his car into place to get past. Wow. Oh
I
my
didn't
word.
see it, but I certainly believe it.
Well, now the top 7 have definitely pulled away from this 8th place train. Cam is in the battle, but now there's a battle with Egg and Bonventre. Egg are on the outside of 130R. And Cam is still not done with the chiller. That's a battle further up in front we'll get to. But now Egg trying to get Nick. Couldn't do it. Locked the rears. Cam now into chiller blasting past. DRS finally enabled for these guys. That's a move being done. And now in the main straight, will we see more 3 wide? Bonventre getting through.
It's been a real good comeback race from him. He started on the softs. Gecko with a 3-second time penalty there. He started on the softs, was really slow throughout the end of the first stint. He went on hards, and now he's kind of reclaiming his race a little bit as Gecko thought he retired on because of a crash, but he retired on the pit lane. But yeah, good comeback from Nick. Good job from him.
Double DNF from AlphaTauri tonight. That is really unfortunate for them. They're the second team to have that happen to them. We've lost 5. Very shocking in terms of the DNF rate for tonight's event. We usually see a lot better here in Tier 1 as of recent weeks and recent seasons, because ever since Austria last season, the safety car rate and the DNF rate has been better. Usually anytime we see DNFs in Tier 1, it's 1 to 4. Not usually 5 or more.
Almost the end of the stage in the Xfinity race, and I thought they just wrecked.
I know, I'm about to watch Talladega after this with you too. I'm really gonna enjoy that one, just like we're enjoying this one right now. Further on back, Miniko getting Egger on the outside at 130R through into P10, and now Hunted trying to get Academy teammate Nick Bonventre, who's playing DRS games right there, and that caught out Miniko.
These 4 all up here, still all under a blanket with the Ferrari tire, where I fear that Skizzer won't be able to hang on even though the Jack's on softs. I'm really fearing for Skizzer's race right now.
Well, it is Nick Bonventre going through at turn 1.
Justin Allgaier just died.
Oh no. I'll have a look at it. I'll have a look at it later. Well, JNT, this battle for P3 with Skither, Jack, and TB still continuing. I feel like for Skither, it's been so long since he's been on the podium.
He's had the
At least this
pace
season.
most weeks, yeah. I agree. Yeah, it has been a while.
Oh, Nick Bonventre. What's happened to him? He was just up there, and now he's had maybe a screen freeze, putting him down to P12. Egg and NRM KVS had contact there at turn 10, but that's very costly for the Alpine driver. And yeah, I'm just watching the All Guy replay. He got turned. Hopefully no one in this race gets turned around.
Oh. Where are you going? There's not a space there. Stupid. That was dumb.
Well, now we got NRM KVS making the move at 130R right there. That's another overtake done at that section of the track. I'm sorry to miss the beginning of that, folks. NRM KVS used up all that overtake to get past. Now the 2 McLaren teammates trying to hold on for points right now on lap 23. Which one will be in front? Right now, Miniko attacking. Hunted couldn't defend it any longer.
Oh my, I have just seen an incredible hit from the 7 car. That was absolutely insane.
Red Fire Tiger up into P13, gaining a spot again. I did see that. I'm gonna switch to the
That was
switch
scary.
to the NASCAR race after this. Right now, we got eventual champion-elect Cookie leading this race, and if he does get the championship today, we'll give him an interview afterwards. JNT, you don't have to stick around for that, but if you'd like, you can. But would be great to see what Cookie has to say about his season that has saw something that has not happened really since, I don't know, Season 5, Season 4, Season 3 with Luke Range. It's been a while since we've seen a driver dominate the way he has in what is One of the best Red Bulls. TB on the back of Jack. Can't get the move done, but Skither has actually pulled them out of DRS right here.
Yeah, he has, and something else he's doing is closing on Reese Dainty for second, maybe possibly interrupting the Red Bull 1-2, as they have been all throughout this race, as TB pulls off a move on Jack for P4.
On the weekend that his teammate could be claiming a first championship and coming back after the race ban last week, Reese Dainty could be taking a 48th podium. Why is 48 so special to Reese? It's his car number. That'd be impressive. And he'd also be 20 podiums behind the all-time podium sitter, Luke Grange. Cam on the back of Jack, two Academy teammates. Cam just trying to get past, but Jack holding him at bay.
Reese is out of battery. Reese
That's
is
not
run
good.
out of battery. Skizzer is almost out too, but Skizzer has the tire advantage, and the tire advantage when battery's dry, more important than it would be otherwise.
I can't believe I'm hearing that right. A Ferrari having tire advantage? What? Well, that is true. I mean, those soft tires will start to be dying very, very soon here, if not now.
Oh yeah, the Ferrari having tire advantage is like the craziest I've ever said.
Here is Jack Miles on the back of the fake TB. Does he make TB get real here and start defending for fourth place? We're going to find out because Jack is right near his Academy teammates here, Cam and TB. All the same for next season, but this season, it's about to be three abreast into one. It's Jack, it's Cam, it's TB, it's Cam getting the both of them, and Jack forced out wide. Jack had to back out, and now he collides with TB. The chiller goes through, but not on TB. Hunted got Minico at turn one as well. The teammates swap, but an Academy teammate collision there with TB and Jack. Oh my
Bit
word.
dicey in the turn one, but for Mercedes, it ended up working out somehow. I don't know how the hell that did, but you know what, it did. But maybe marbles on the tires from TB. Maybe his tires a little hurt from that slide, because Chiller on the hards is absolutely hounding him through sector one.
Well, we're going to find out here if Skither can get Reese in the closing stages of this race. The Chiller is still not done with TB. These two have collided multiple times in the past. We'll have a video coming on that. Times rivalries continued later on in RPL's run to the 200th race of Tier 1 in Texas in a few weeks' time. But right now the focus is going to go to Cookie in a few moments' time as he's about to reach the final lap. In 2 laps here, Cookie has really not had any attention at all this season besides when he's won races and taken pole position because he's been so far in front. And today, 4.7 in front of his teammate who's trying to hang on here.
Last lap on the main straight. McLaren's had a position swap. Hunted got by Minico with DRS. They might swap again here as Hunted's out of battery. Take him with that 3 second. It's not really going to matter for him in the end, is it?
Main straight. TB, the Chiller. No move. Minico and Hunted, you just mentioned. 2 McLaren teammates. One with a penalty, one without. And Minico going for the dive. Minico through and almost into the side of his teammate.
It was very close. Very close.
Now the Chiller. Doing what you said earlier. Formula NASCAR. Bump drafting through the sector. He's not pushing him just yet, but he's right on the back of him, just trying to tell him, hurry up. We need to get Cam here in front of your Academy teammate. And Redfire Tiger has also swapped with Wavy for P13. If any penalties come in front of Wavy, he could get some points here in Tier 1 for the first time in nearly 2 seasons, but very unlikely.
Man, this has been a pretty crazy race.
Yeah, it has. And Skither trying for a first podium since France, round number 9. That's how long it's been.
10 races. Yeah,
10 races.
lightning start to the season. 10 races last. Pretty abysmal. Let's say
Cookie
that.
also trying for a 15th win, by the way. Just want to put that into perspective. Quite a lot for him. He's trying to get, I believe, one up on other drivers who've had multiple wins with a single team. Final lap underway. Reese and Skither here for second place. Can Skither do it with more battery around the outside? Gonna go the long way around. He's in second place in this race. And Ram KVS gets egged further on back, and they still continue to battle on this train. Hunted gets Miniko, and can they get any positions further on back? Cookie now about to complete Sector 1 here. The attention will go to him soon, but it's not done. Nick Bonventre and Egg both get KVS. How about that? But as we're about to get to Sector 2, I want to talk about Cookie for a second, JNT. He's not had a lot of the attention this season. He's been in front of everybody. It's been amazing.
From Cookie and from Red Bull, they have been absolutely perfect. Pretty much. Reese, I know he couldn't win the fight with Skizzer today, but he's had a pretty incredible season himself. Coming to take his 48th podium, it would be.
If you don't mind me
But all the
cutting in.
focus now is on Cookie.
Yeah, Red Bull can take the constructors, but to get to this point for Cookie, it's been a lot of changes that have happened. And it's not been a domination like this since Season 3 and Season 4 with Luke. AlphaTauri to Red Bull, Xbox to PC, Co-TP to TP, and from Season 8 to Season 10, a near-season ban to the RPL title, Cookie is the Season 10 F1 champion. As he wins in Japan, big collision on further on back, the Chiller, Jack, and Cam. Skither and Reese take podiums. Reese, it's his 48th, and as for Skither, his first in 10 rounds. TB, Cam, Jack, the Chiller, Miniko, Bonventre, and Egg round out the points.
Wow, Mercedes 4 and 5, big bounce back from last week. They really needed this result. After no points, fighting in the front basically all race, especially for Cam. That fight back from qualifying, just big day and all in all for Mercedes.
Reese
Big
Dainty
day
and
for
Cookie
Red Bull.
get the Constructors' Championship for a 6th straight season. 6th season in succession. They made the change with the Chiller and Cookie to make it Reese and Cookie. And Reese Dainty, although he got a record in his personal best with 9 consecutive podiums in this season at one point, he's really stepped up to the charge to be a team player this time in comparison to when he was teammates with TB and Cryptic. Much more better from Reese this season to now get a 48th Tier 1 podium. Skither as well gets his 47th. Red Bull get a 6th consecutive title like we said. And how fitting, JNT, for Cookie to get his championship here and his 15th win in Japan at the track he took his first ever RPL podium.
It's like it's meant to be. It's beautiful.
He also
Fastest
went
lap,
from
1.4 seconds faster than the whole field except his teammate.
Yeah, he also went from part-time to full-time as well, Cookie did. He was racing quite a bit before in the Mercedes Academy and also in AlphaTauri, but not weekly. He set this league to his main league, and it's really worked out. Cam, from 17th to 5th, deserves a mention for sure. Besides Driver of the Day, that's one of the big mentions we'll talk about. Podium celebrations underway. We'll get Cookie in here in just a moment time, but here's page 1 of page 2 of your results. Hunted just missing out on points. Egg is in it. Bonventre in it. Miniko got back up to 8th. The Chiller as well. Last lap collision. We'll look at that later. And here's page 2 of your results. The drivers we lost from tonight's event.
You know what? I think after all these races, after all of him just putting on Max Verstappen performances, I think it's time to get us recognized for it. And I think Cookie is my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think my top 3. I mean, Bonventre put in a good performance right there, but couldn't get the result. I would have put him in that top 3, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna put Cookie, Skither, and Cam in it. Probably 3 of our fastest drivers right there. Cam with the recovery. I'd also say Miniko's a nice outlier too with that top 3 in the recovery stage. 3 of our fastest drivers, but 3 drivers who don't always get results. And until this season, Cookie really never got the results. It never was his way, and now it's his way. And Skither really hasn't got results in the last 10 weeks. He used to always get results, and now that thing he's been missing, it's back for him. He's on the podium once again. And for Cam, only 1 Tier 1 podium, but his best track, Zandvoort, seemed to be the place where everything has cooked here for him in RPL, but now finally a really good result with Mercedes. Actually deserves a lot of credit for it.
Both of them, I think, they really needed that. and shot in the arm to get him back on form. Especially Cam, after inconsistent results, to drive from the back to the front clean. I think that's a really big confidence booster for him.
I'll tell you though, with Cam, I think he was involved in that last lap collision. He already had the qualifying incident. And how fitting, though, at the end of last season, it was Cookie and Reese having to serve race bans. Reese basically kind of passing the crown there to Cookie, now getting the RPL championship in that exact way. Funny enough, we talk about Cam's penalty points. He's probably about to get a season ban with how close he's getting to one. Maybe he's going to be the next one to pass the crown here with the way things have gone um, for him. Maybe. Maybe, just maybe. I'm going to try to invite Cookie here
I
to the
didn't
party.
think about
I'm trying to
penalty
find
points. Yeah,
his...
he's gonna get some for that.
He's definitely going to get some for the qualifying incident. I don't know what happened there in the race with the last lap, but Cam has definitely not been one of the cleaner ones this season, to say the least, if you look at the penalty points. It's not been good at all, but I have to give him a lot of credit, though, for actually getting the result today that mattered. Here he is, our Season 10 champion. Make sure your audio is included.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you,
Good.
first off?
Good. How are you? So fine.
Not too bad. I'm hoping you enjoy in the moment. That's what I'm hoping. So,
Yeah.
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I mentioned quite a bit of things here before you crossed the line, and I want you to take in the moment here. Yes, it's just a video game, but you know what? You're the RPL Season 10 champion. Here's what you had to do. You either joined or joined back in Season 7, got your first podium at Japan, this exact circuit, 3 seasons prior, and since then, a near season ban in Season 8, to now the RPL Championship, where you had an end of the season race ban last season, you and your teammate. AlphaTauri to Red Bull, Xbox to PC, co-TP to the TP, and part-time racing, not putting this as the weekly league for you, to now full-time racing and the RPL Championship. Soaking it in, how does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. It's been a good season, obviously. I mean, I haven't had to really, I mean, after the first few rounds and I saw how quick the Red Bull was, I was like, this might be a good walk. And the Red Bull is so quick, and yeah, I'm glad I got a chance to experience this car. Probably the quickest. I'd say it's probably even quicker in race compared to the field than the 2020 Merc was. Um, I mean, yeah, it's been a good season. Can't say I've been the best driver out there. I mean, I feel like I've been the most consistent, but I think on raw pace, I
Yeah.
don't think I am. But yeah, I mean, Skither missed a whole bunch of races, and just kind of opened up that gap. I think I'm on a pretty good string recently too. Like I think, but no, it's been a good season. I mean, this is a very competitive league, so to win a championship, realistic or not, is an accomplishment for me.
No, I just want to mention as well, you talked about prior people like the Chiller or people like Cryptic or people like Reese, not able to pull the gap that you could with this car in certain weeks like Hungary or even Austria or other races like that. You've been able to show what this car is really capable of in the race. I mean, we've seen your great qualifying laps that you've been able to pull out too, because before this season, you showed you were really great in qualifying as well, having more poles than wins when you've got the opportunity in a top car. Talk about what you've been able to do with this car to show this isn't as close of a car as people thought it was last season.
Wait, what was the question? Sorry.
With this car, talk about what you're able to do, because you spoke about before
Ah, I see.
Cryptic, Reese, the Chiller, not being able to pull that 20-second gap that you could in certain races like Austria and even Hungary over the other cars
Yeah, so
besides Reese.
I feel like this car isn't the best. It's obviously still the best in qualifying, but it doesn't have much of a gap. But I feel like this car excels on long green flag runs. I'm sorry, I sound like I'm explaining a NASCAR car, but I feel like the car,
It's okay.
Long green runs, driver.
it's a long green run car. No, the longer the stint goes on, the quicker it is. And you're pretty much able to stretch out the gaps on the tire wear, and that allows me to that allows me to pit a lap or two later, and in a full green flag race, for example, I'll have a 5 or 6 second gap in the first stint, and then I'll have that luxury of pitting like 2 or 3 laps later and still retaining the lead, and then I'll be able to just have even fresher tires and absolutely hits the field. And Reese has been quick. Like today, I think he was trying to battle me today.
He was.
Yeah, that was interesting. We weren't in a voice chat or
Yeah.
anything, so but yeah, Reese is quick though. I mean, I think if it was Reese and Cryptic again, I think Reese would have walked away with the championship in a similar manner. I think he stepped it up as well. So it was a little challenging. I think that no one's able to just capitalize. Like, no one's able to just kind of consistently put the laps together to gap, and I think that's what made the difference is just breaking DRS. And then when someone's on your DRS, they have no chance of keeping up with a car that's 1% lap better on tire wear and also is quicker than you by default. I mean,
I just want to mention as well with the constructors, you guys get a 6th straight constructors title. And with that said, you guys also broke a record as a team. I mean, you've been the record guy this season, trying to go for some of those. You guys as a team got the most poles in a single season with your pole today. In Japan, I mean, you guys had it as a team in season 6, around the time when everything started. But now you guys do it this season in a more dominant Red Bull, a more, I guess, faster calendar in terms of how races are ran because the races are longer. And now you're the TP of this team when it was Cryptic before. And you wanted this role at the end of last season. Now you have it. And now you've signed a lot of reserve drivers, whether they're going to be on loan or whether they're going to race for you guys to make sure this stays the way it is for F124. Talk me through that with winning the Constructors' Championship and just being able to do what you have now as TP.
yeah. First, like I said, I think I have a great little driver lineup. I think Reese is I think Reese is great. Reese is very quick too. I think people assume that I signed Reese just to kind of be a number 2 driver, but Reese is quick. I think today proved how quick he was. And yeah, I mean he would have almost had pole today because I messed up my
That's
last run,
crazy.
and that's what I need in a teammate is someone who can kind of be there when I'm not, like, because I messed up I messed up the last run really bad on the first corner and I pulled it back. I think a 26 flat was on the cards. But Reese has just always been there, and I think, if you took me out of the equation, I think Reese would have won this championship over Skither. So I feel like I have a really good lineup going into the next game, and Reese is always, Reese is at minimum not gonna be top 5, whereas like the Chiller was struggling really hard. I think Reese, no matter what the game feels like, will be up there, and then I think my AlphaTauri / VCarb / Racing Bull / whatever the fuck next season have a really strong lineup as well. So I think we're looking good.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
I just
connections, so it's good.
Yeah, I see that.
Connections.
It helps out a lot for your academy now that's yours. One more question I have for you. You mentioned Reese, and the interesting thing is that Reese seems to be there some weeks. Other weeks he's not as much there. And with that being said, he was able a lot last season, even when he wasn't the fastest, to salvage, maybe not on strategy, but to salvage results a lot. Stay out of the penalty box. Stay out of trouble. Just have calculated moves. And it's interesting because with your wins, this is the type of domination we haven't seen since season 3 through 5, but you said you're not the fastest, and that's a fair point to make. There can be guys who may be faster than you, but what you've been able to do this season is salvage the results. Even when a race has not gone your way or you've not been the fastest and there's been other guys faster than you, they battle behind. You're able to play it smart. You're able to realize, when's my time to push? When's my time to not? You helped Reese even get a win in Canada as well when you had a track limit penalty and realized, I need to play the team game now. Talk me through being able to salvage results much more easier and much more better now in a dominant car and just this season, because you mentioned to me when talking prior to this race, I think about a week or 2 ago, being one of the smarter drivers in this league, and I would agree on that. You're definitely in the top 3 category for that. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for example, like, my peaks aren't as high as like Skither. Like, I think, let's say I constantly run at a 99% pace. I think Skither can outrun at 100%, but sometimes he runs at a 96 or 97%. I feel like I'm able to just every lap run at a consistent pace that's competitive, but not like alien. And I think that's what helps a lot. And this car, especially with how easy it is on the tires, if you, I don't think there's anyone in the league who could, in a different car, who could contend with this car and me over a stint, which is, to be expected. It's a Red Bull. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's just been good. It's been a good season, and I mean, I love races like this because it's not like I had a huge pace advantage on everyone. I mean, I was only a few tenths a lap quicker once
Sure,
I
you
put in
wanted
the
to.
battery. Yeah, when I wanted to, that was mostly battery. Um, when I set the fastest laps and gap race, but after that, I mean, it's just slowly pulling out the gaps, not making mistakes, and yeah, and when I spin and stuff like Monza, it's just usually like you said, people battle each other, not focused on keeping a Red Bull that's probably 10 miles an hour faster than on a straight line behind, and kind of just let me go through and win these races. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Next season, looking at how the Red Bulls perform in real life, should be a similar gap. Don't know if the driver gap will be there though. I mean, I'm not gonna. I sweat this game a lot when it first came out, and I think that's what made me decent enough to not have to practice as much for these races and like show up and still be
Yeah.
competitive. But I mean, next game I'm not gonna have the time to practice when it first comes out, so or the motivation. So I mean, maybe next season it'll flop. Maybe Reese will be the first driver. I'll be the second driver. We'll have to see. But
Maybe. Depends on if pace improves or not.
yeah.
Well, fastest lap, man.
Oh, I got Grand
And
Slam today, by the way.
oh, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't. There wasn't a lap I didn't lead.
Forgot about that. You mentioned wanting to do that. Fair play. How fitting. How fitting. Especially at the track you got your first podium too, back in season 7. Yeah, so fastest lap, man. TP man, and now champion man. Congrats on the championship. JNT, I'm gonna go to you first, then Titan. Do you guys have any questions for Cookie?
Why are you so good? Stop.
I don't know. Ask my mom. No,
Get her on the mic. Let me ask
no,
you.
I don't live with my mom, big dog. Um,
Call her.
no, I'm so good, bro. There's so many things I'd rather do. But no,
Alright, what would you rather do?
go to the gym, and I need to go to the gym in like a minute.
Oh, W. W.
But yeah, no, I like I said, I think I'm just consistently decently quick. I think that's something that I've improved on this game is I'm much more consistent. I don't know if it's PC or what, but like I feel like on PC you're able to just be way more consistent driving. Like not much quicker, but just you're able to just drive consistently. I don't know. On
Yeah, because
Xbox
you
I
get
struggle.
consistent frame rate.
I guess. I don't know. But
He's ready for his documentary video now.
yeah, what about you? What
Titan.
about you, Titan, Iron Wolf, whatever?
Didn't make today, but here you are.
Yeah, but yeah, Cookie. I just want to say, unfortunately, I didn't wasn't
Congrats,
able
by the
to
way.
make the race. I wasn't able to make the race, but I was able to watch it at the end. So congrats to you for becoming the second American in RPL to win an F1 championship.
Where's my
First one
American
was
flag
Skipper.
blanket? Oh, there it is.
Red Bull getting their sixth straight constructors, their fourth drivers championship in Tier 1 history. When you
Wow.
were mentioning about consistency, I will say this: your championship did have a few hiccups, like with Baku and Canada when you were facing with track limit penalties or penalties in the steward's office. But there was also the times where Imola you had controls messing you up, and then Singapore where you got basically got given the middle finger and disqualified for blocking the pit exit. How do you keep that? How do you keep that focus when things go wrong into focusing into your next couple of races or as the race progresses?
Yeah, sure. Also, this is gonna be my last question because I do gotta go.
That's all right.
Sorry, guys. But no, I feel like the only time I've been truly like stressed this season was after Imola when I crashed or when my controller like disconnected and my car got DSQ'd. Where Skither was only 10 points behind me, and then we were going into Monaco, and I knew that that was not going to be a me track. I think that was the only time I was like I felt stressed. But after that, I mean, after that I won Monaco, then I won every single race pretty much up until uh God, how many did I win in a row? Holy shit! I'm just looking at
3 or
results.
4.
Yeah. Yeah.
4 at one point.
Yeah, I won every race pretty much up until Spa, and then I missed a race for Netherlands. But yeah. So I mean, I think that was when I was actually like really stressed out. I was like, oh shit, Skitter's about to match me on points in McLaren. But uh, no, I pulled through, and then, realistically, I don't really have much of an ego, but I feel like I should have won at least 16 races this season out of 18. I think Baku, I got fucked over by this shitty rule about the pit lane, which didn't affect my race whatsoever. And I won that, and then Imola, I think I would have won as well, just fucking controller issues. And then Singapore, I think I would have won even if I had that spin. Yeah, if I didn't just get disqualified. And I think the only race I feel like I've deserved to lose was Canada. So um. Yeah, and even Canada, I mean, I just got track limit penalties. But yeah, I think that's the only race I deserve to lose. I feel like I've been kind of shafted over, but also it's really hard to say that when this has been such a successful season. But yeah, I'm hoping to end the season off by winning the last 5 in a row, and then move on to next season, where I hope I'll be at least 10% as consistent as I am. I really don't think that I'm going to be the quickest. I think people like Gecko and people like Skither are going to be quicker than me, especially if Codemasters make the cars a little closer in pace, which they probably will.
Well, since you said
Only-
that you were planning to win the next 5, just bear in mind you just need 3 more wins and you'll smash Luke's record.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm going to try to get...
Of wins in a season, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Vegas is probably one of my fastest tracks, and I think I'm gonna smash it there, hopefully. Not literally. And then after Vegas, I mean, the 4 tracks after that are pretty easy to do.
Only 2 guys have won 7 or more in a row in RPL Tier 1. So, and you're one of only 4 guys 5 different times to win 4 in a row. You did it from Austria to Belgium. So yeah, fair point there. And if you do win the next 5, that is 7 in a row. So
I'll
fair
do my
play.
best. I'll do my best, but
I hope you do. I'd
I'll
love
catch
to
you
see
guys
it.
later.
Most wins in a season.
Yeah.
You got that you're chasing now, and more records to come after that too. You've smashed some this season, and you got more to smash.
Yeah, if
throughout
I can
the
hit
rest of this and next.
2020, if I can hit 24 running and I win the first race, I'll have a lot more confidence. But I really, it completely depends on how I feel. Like the slowest I've ever been on a game was probably 2022, where I started here, and I was like probably 7th or 8th quickest in the league, maybe. Like at the time, I know I was much slower than Luke, but yeah, hopefully we'll hit the gun running, and I'll be able to.
2 more wins to tie it, 3 more to beat it for most wins in a season, and of course other records can still be beaten besides that. So
Yeah.
that's the one you're looking at right now. Win 15, 10 behind Skither right now, third on the list.
Yep. Cool. All right. Thank you guys. You guys are always great at
Enjoy.
commentating.
Congrats.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Cookie.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Oh, and Titan, one more thing as well. And I know you mentioned this in Spa. I at least want to get you in for the conclusion of the stream. How fitting you mentioned a few weeks ago, Cookie maybe being on crack, and look what day it is, if you look at the date. Numbers.
Yes, I do remember. I just noticed that too. 420 blaze it.
Maybe he might need to hit some dab pens or weed in order to enjoy the moment. We'll see what happens. I mean, hey, you got to remember, Titan, look at the rule book now. You're not allowed to drink and drive. You're not allowed to be under the influence of any sort, not even weed, none of that. So Hunted can't have any more fun like that at all. So just putting that out there, folks. Can't do an RPL race being high.
Well, to be fair, after the
Just
race,
high all the time.
to be fair, after the race, though, Cookie will definitely be doing that stuff for celebration.
I don't know about that stuff. I mean, we'll find out. Maybe I'll ask him, but we'll find out. Hey,
I was going
guys,
to the gym
we got,
to celebrate, dude.
That's true. Gym first, then that. Just saying. Nah, the gym is a better option than all that, to be fair. That's what I'd say. I need to go there soon myself. Not now, today, but in the future. Anyway,
Yeah,
guys,
Brian, go
JNT,
gym.
Titan, we've got lots to look forward to. I mean, JNT, you're in a Tier 2 championship battle, 26 points in front, going to Mexico next week. And Titan, we're going to Vegas next week, obviously one of Cookie's home races of the 3. And in fact, we mentioned the 200th Tier 1 RPL event, 200th Tier 1 RPL race in Texas in about 3 weeks' time. We've got the 200th Tier 1 scheduled event because 2 were canceled before in seasons prior, next week at Vegas. And that's a home race for us, Titan. I know you didn't get to commentate there last season. because Owen was in, but I'll be glad to have you there hopefully this season in
Hell yeah.
Vegas. That'll be fun. That'll be so fun. Viva Las Vegas. Gonna go gambling, racing.
Are you allowed
I
to
don't know.
gamble and drive?
Ask Owen and Jack. Actually, you know what? That's a good question.
Well, I mean, in the
Should ask
NBA,
him.
you can't
Bet
gamble,
MGM
or else you'll
sports
face a
betting, that's
lifetime
That is
ban.
true. I heard that. Yeah.
I mean, just a couple of days ago, I gotta look again which player, but one of the NBA players actually
saw
just got
that.
a lifetime ban.
For
Oh, wait,
what,
no, that's
gambling?
NFL. Sorry, that's NFL.
That's
Well, I
even
swear someone
worse.
had it happen in the NBA too, though.
Yeah.
What
But
the hell?
I know Cookie pinged me about this, and after we end the stream, I'll be watching Talladega NASCAR race because he did mention NASCAR.
Austin
JNT
Hill
and
on the
Cookie.
second stage.
Oh, fun. So I'll be able to see stage 3. Perfect. No, so for Cookie, he did mention this. I did see it when I switched to him quickly. On his lap, he was 4/10 down in sector 1 and was able to pull off the Max Verstappen type of pull. I mean, that is just insane. 24 thousandths tight in our qualifying session was separated with the top 3. Quite a race in qualifying and the race itself we had during tonight's event.
24,000?
Phillies. Between the
Yo.
top 3.
Good
Our 3
God.
best.
Well, I gotta watch the stream back then and watch it back. 'Cause
Turn the audio
That
off.
sounds
Hey,
really good.
Well,
for
guess
you.
what? We'll end the stream now to let you watch it back, and we'll get you back for next week, of course.
Absolutely.
We've got Vegas next week for Tier 1, some of these drivers' home race. Also, Tadpole probably feels like it's his home race for Tier 2. He loves that track. Mexico. And JNT Gaming, who commentated alongside me tonight, thank you for joining me. We'll see if he can keep the championship lead next week in Mexico for Tier 2 as we dip into the second half of the season where crunch time will be very crucial. JNT, one more question before you're about to leave. I know you're going to get a lot of crap for it from me later, and you have been anyway, but do you mind trying to win here soon?
Nah.
Nah, just gonna do the Daniel Hemrick. Gonna win the championship.
No, I'm just not
When
gonna.
you
I'm
win your
gonna
first
finish
race?
second like 8 more times. Then I'll win
Only
because
8?
no one knows how to stay on the track.
Yeah, you know how to. The only race I think you had a penalty was I think the first race you came back on track
No, it was
limits, and that was
Imola,
it.
and I got it because I
Or
spun.
Imola, yeah, maybe. Mm.
Well, no,
Hey,
I
just keep
got
staying out of the track
when I
limits.
came, I got a few, only because that was the first time. But at the start of last season, I've only had 3 seconds up until now because I spun and I got a warning.
Perfect. Well, just keep it up because Tier 2 Mexico is where we're at next, folks, and F1 in Vegas next week for the action. Make sure you tune into our RPL YouTube channel as well to keep up to date with race highlights. Cookie's post-race interview as well will be uploaded separately during this week as well. We've got more to come. 30 minutes, that series we're going to continue as well. Same with Cookie's documentary. That'll be released after the season is over. As for other things to look forward to, we have much more content coming to the RPL Formula 1 YouTube come the 200th Tier 1 race weekend in Texas in a few weeks' time and leading up to then. So leading up to the next race, we're going to end off here at RPL Streams with... You had Titan Iron Wolf. You're joining us for the post-race interviews. JNT Gaming, my
Hello.
co-commentator, and I'm your main commentator, Ryan Searles. Signing off for tonight's event. We'll see you later next week for Tier 2 and Tier 1, Mexico and Vegas. Until then, folks, have a good one. Good night, and bye-bye.
Don't drink and drive.
He's right. Don't. If not, I'm pulling your
And
ass
don't
over.
drive high.
Yeah, Hunted.
No, you can